on Friday when I saw nLite play that this is a team with these two compositions, the Jungle Cleave and these various counter cleave setups that they can run. If they can win a blind pick, they can easily win a series against any one of these top teams. If they can make this composition work, I think things are looking good for nLite.
Zuniaki knows that there is a Death Knight on Zizon. Absolutely not going to be wanting to lock in the Discipline Priest blind. Instead, going for the Retribution Paladin, trying to counter cleave. Let's see how the Retribution Paladin fares here in 8.2. Arms Warrior received significant buffs, so it's not surprising to see them on the opposing teams. Nerd Rage taking a beating early on. It looks like Zizon want to be going after Tana. They want to be exploiting the Restoration Shaman's limited healing now that the Pack Spirit Azurite trait has been reduced, meaning that Tana will have to rely on casted heals, which can be interrupted and crowd controlled quite easily. So I do expect Restoration Shamans to become more of a target, but while they are targeting Tana down, they will be taking a lot of damage as they're giving their backs to both Kara and Zuniaki. Jamie appears to be the primary target for now. However, pre-dampening, I actually think the Warrior or the Druid is a better target. Death Strike going to be a very effective way for the Death Knight to recover. Zuniaki engaging crowd control, activating that Sharpened Blade. Looking like they want to be going after Nerd Rage, but in the meantime, Tana gets gripped into a fear, into a stun. Good follow-up, no Blessing of Sanctuary. Kara on the run, the main focus point for Zizon right now. It's a bit difficult to say as to who is in the lead. I would say that we're still it's too early to say. We need to wait and see if they can get a Divine Shield from Kara. I would say that the Retribution Paladin is the most likely target to be going down before dampening. Perhaps Tana if he slips up on his positioning, but so far so good for both teams.
I mean, this is a composition that normally does work well against Cleaves, but I would say most of the pressure and momentum seems in favor of Zizon at this point. Jamie is taking a little bit of burst. Keep in mind, Death Strike, of course, is something you want to use after you take a big chunk of damage. And if Zuniaki can land a Sharpened Blade or a Disarm after they burst Jamie down a little bit, he's not going to be able to heal himself up nearly as effectively, and that's something that we can see nLite capitalize on. Tana under fire right now as he's forced to use his Astral Shift to reduce some of that incoming damage. Nice fake interrupt there. Nerd Rage backs him up with a pummel, interrupting Tana, slowing down some of the heals. But now that he can free heal with these chain heals, he actually gets gripped on it, finally landing some heals. And we saw yesterday, Restoration Shaman with this chain heal specialization, if they can get those heals off, those casted heals, it's a lot of healing per second, but they are very susceptible to interrupts, so it's going to be up to Zizon, Jamie, Nerd Rage, making sure they're interrupting as much as possible. Drainer now getting swapped to.
Yeah, as Gladiator's Safeguard going to be procced alongside the Bark Skin. This is a good swap onto Drainer. Some high-value cooldowns forced out there. Kara running the new Essence, the Conflict and Strife for the Unbound Freedom, which allows him to cast Blessing of Freedom on 2 members of the team, himself and 1 other party member. This is a great counter to the Chains of Ice that Jamie brings on the Death Knight, allowing nLite a lot more mobility. Nerd Rage being swapped to as Drainer repositioned to recover. Iron Park forced out. Now they may look to switch back to Drainer as soon as possible. There's the Unbound Freedom. Zuniaki and Kara looking to connect, but at the same time, Zizon are going after Tana. Perhaps this game ends up being a healer race.
Yeah, they could go after Drainer right now. He's got no Barskin, might be in a little bit of trouble. He doesn't want to fall too far behind. He's getting low, looking to get away, but the one thing is, Jamie with that Chains of Ice, when Blessing of Freedom isn't available for Kara and Zuniaki, it's going to be difficult for them to stay on target. But I do want to highlight that Honor talent. I think it's really cool for the Retribution Paladin. For a long time, they struggled with their mobility, not being able to get out of snares, and every time they did use Freedom, it just got dispelled off. So having that undispellable Freedom for not only them and a teammate, I think there's a lot of potential there.
All right, let's see if nLite can do it. Running some unconventional specializations. Discipline Priest to get this far. Retribution Paladin, Feral Druid. I feel like probably some of the least represented specializations in the Arena World Championship Series, but nLite's making all of them work at the same time. Good crowd control chain here by nLite. Drainer in a Hex. Jamie disarmed and unable to use Death Strike for a little bit, but now out of that is using his runic power to restabilize. I think when we do get into dampening, that Jamie becomes a liability. The Death Knights and the Destruction Warlocks in particular, when we get to those deeper dampening stages, their limited mobility ends up really being exploited. Their self-healing becomes non-consequential. They won't be able to just survive with Death Strike alone. Mana is about even. I'm not sure if mana will inevitably be one of the reasons that this match concludes, due to the new essences that allow increased mana regeneration. I think it is much more so going to be the case of burst and crowd control in the current meta of 8.2. Right now, Zizon dishing out a bunch of damage. The main issue is that they want to attack the Retribution Paladin. They're normally pretty easy to kill, but with the build that Tana's running on the Shaman, if they're not attacking him, he's just going to be casting chain heals over and over, and it'll be very easy for him to heal. So Zizon actually have a pretty difficult decision. Do they pressure Tana and then give their backs to Kara and Zuniaki, or do they go after Kara and let Tana free heal? If Tana runs out of mana free healing, then perhaps that will work, but I'm not sure if he will. Earthen Wall Totem dropped down by Tana as he's death gripped into the fray. That is certainly one way for Zizon to get around this, is by pulling Tana into close quarters and then cleaving down multiple targets. Tana looks to reposition far away. nLite set up for a swap, but they get denied by Nerd Rage. Nerd Rage single-handedly taking control of Kara and Zuniaki, but Zuniaki continues the charge with Blade Storm and the Unbound Freedom. Both members are free of the Chains of Ice. Now switching back to Nerd Rage as Drainer repositioned. Nerd Rage on the run, leaping to safety, but now Jamie was left behind. nLite are immediately switching to him. I do love the swaps happening from nLite here. It's building a lot of momentum, and later on in the match, this might be unrecoverable for Zizon.
Yeah, it could be really difficult. We'll see what nLite can get done. We're at 7% dampening at this point. Hammer of Justice secured on Drainer as they make a swap on him once again, really keeping Drainer guessing in this matchup. Who are they going to be going after? When Drainer is available as a target, it seems like that's their priority, but when he gets away, go after Jamie, force Drainer to never really get comfortable in the match. He's always either worried about a swap to himself or worried about picking Jamie up, and like we kind of talked about, Jamie on that Unholy Death Knight, not nearly as tanky as Dampening ramps up in this matchup, but now you can see sort of the cleave damage coming in from nLite. Nerd Rage is low, Jamie getting a little bit low, Drainer getting swapped to once again. I like the strategy from nLite.
All right, let's see if they can keep it up. If they can stay alive. Tana now targeted down, 2 members on him. He is trying to escape with that Ghost Wolf, but unable to. He's going to drop Earthen Wall Totem. This will protect the whole team and reduce damage. Drainer going to place an Efflorescence on it as well to gain some bonus healing, knowing that the enemy team won't be moving. Tana decides to evacuate midfield, pull Nerd Rage and Jamie out of Drainer's line of sight, and then if Drainer moves in to heal, Zuniaki and Kara can swap. There's the Unbound Freedom. 2 members of nLite trying to run down Drainer, but he saw it coming, snuck away from the fight, and managed to go into stealth. So Drainer is actually invisible to his opponents, even though we can see him here on the tournament UI. Some good awareness there. Dodges the Hex by shapeshifting into travel form. Tana unable to find any crowd control off of that, but Dampening is getting to a point where Jamie is going to start taking a huge amount of damage, and Tana is certainly not low enough on mana where I feel Zizon can be confident in this position. I do think it may become an inevitability where Jamie will fall. There's good pressure on Drainer even before Dampening right now. He's on the run with that sprint, but Zuniaki's Blade Storming. Good mobility from Kara and Zuniaki. That's going to be the main point of contention for Zizon with the Chains of Ice. How much can they keep Zuniaki and Kara slowed down and stop their momentum? They're going after Nerd Rage while Drainer was trying to drink. Big hit. He's going to use that Glaire's Medallion, escape to safety with the Iron Bark. Drainer was unable to drink, but he's still very healthy on mana. Again, I don't think mana is going to be the name of the game here. It's purely about pressure.
I really like Unbound Freedom. Just watching it in this game, every time, I love seeing the freedoms come up. Zuniaki, Kara free of the Chains of Ice, able to get crazy, but at this point, Zizon, they have a lot of pressure in the match. Interrupt now over on Tana. The Shaman, of course, very susceptible to interrupts, but if they can get off these casted chain heals, it is a lot of healing, and I have to say, Tana's been doing a really good job managing his mana in this match. I'm not sure if it's because Kara is able to assist him with some off heals with the Retribution Paladin. That kind of support can definitely pay off, but things aren't looking too bad for nLite. They're under pressure right now, but they have a lot of defensive cooldowns they can rotate through at this point. Jamie getting a little bit low. Anti-Magic Shell going to be traded out. There's no Icebound Fortitude, 23% dampening. Drainer with no Iron Bark is going to have a difficult time actually topping Jamie off. Kara moves over, the Hammer of Justice on Drainer. They get the crowd control they need. Full Fear. Zuniaki follows it up. Nice play. Drainer trinkets out immediately. Cannot afford to fall behind. And keep in mind, Tana, he's going to be able to use Purge. That Restoration Shaman, of course, that's one of their utilities. He can use Purge to remove all the Restoration Druid heal over time effects, but it's a gamble because if he uses too much mana, purging off those heals, then he'll go out of mana himself and it can backfire. You have to be very careful, very precise when they decide to pull the trigger with that ability.
I think this is a series that could easily go to Game 5. I feel like nLite are favored in this particular matchup. I think it's likely we see Jamie going down pretty soon, maybe within the next minute and a half. They need to do something quick, but what can they really do? There's still defensive options on all 3 members of nLite. Pressure is still building on Jamie. Hammer of Justice into a full Hex. Great crowd control, but Tana spent time getting crowd control and not healing, so he fell a bit behind. He's going to pop Ascendance. That's going to boost his area of effect healing. He can heal multiple members on the team simultaneously. A good recovery mechanic in this position. Tana fake casts Jamie's Mind Freeze, now freely casting the team to full. Nice play on his part. Good recovery by nLite. Now it's time to get aggressive. Zuniaki charging forward. Kara looking to connect. Where's the Unbound Freedom? Both of them in chains of ice. They need that Blessing of Freedom as soon as possible. Zuniaki is not going to be able to connect without it. Doesn't look like it's on cooldown just yet. There it is, Unbound Freedom. Two members of nLite connect. Sharpened Blade, big burst. This is going to be difficult for Drainer. He activates Iron Bark. Looks like Jamie is fairly stable. He wants to be targeting down Tana. Tana drops the Earthen Wall Totem. He looks like he's going to be all right. They force Jamie to run away and force him to retreat. Zuniaki charges to Drainer, gets the full intimidating shout. Kara is still hammering down onto Jamie. He used Divine Shield to get uptime. Jamie now disarmed, unable to use Death Strike while disarmed. Looking to force Icebound Fortitude, but Zuniaki can't connect. He gets stunned away by Jamie. There's the Unbound Freedom. Two members again of nLite chasing down Jamie. No Iron Bark. Icebound Fortitude is all that's left. They likely need to trade it. Zuniaki goes into battle stance. He's going to be doing a lot more damage. How are they going to hold on here? Dampening now at 36%. No Icebound Fortitude. He pops it at 5% health. This might be too little too late from Zizon.
Yeah, there's the freedom once again on Zuniaki, on Kara. They're moving in. They're trying to take down Jamie. I think they're going to be able to do it. If Zuniaki can get there, it's Execute City. Jamie getting lower, and Zuniaki finally takes him down. 38% dampening. nLite with big...
nLite just play it patiently. Break out their pillows, break out their sleeping bags, and then tent up on the pillars. I think they'll be able to avoid Mercy until Deep Dampening. If Nerd Rage ever overextends, they can push him away. Looks like nLite don't want to go on a camping trip, though. They're going to immediately be attacking the Warlock. Maybe just feel it out, see how much pressure they can really take. Perhaps they can just overwhelm the Warlock even before dampening with this composition. It's one that we haven't seen a lot. Nerd Rage is trying to switch targets over to Tana. Drainer stuns him for him, but with that Earth Grab Totem, Nerd Rage is forced to use Blade Storm to break out. And he's still chasing Tana for now. Mercy, in the meantime, has to deal with Zuniaki and Kara. Nerd Rage going to charge back and peel away Zuniaki, as he did get crowd control into Drainer, allowing Mercy to easily recover through the initial attack.
Zuniaki, Kara, they're going to be chopping up Mercy for a little bit in this game, but we've seen Destruction Warlock's just so durable. I don't even think a Retribution Paladin and a Warrior are going to be able to take him down, and if they do, I'm going to be very surprised. So maybe nLite will be able to prove me wrong, but normally we don't see the Destruction Warlock fall down before dampening, especially with the Restoration Druid healing him. But at the same time, maybe they'll be able to get Drainer to tax his mana quite heavily in this matchup. If they can get him out of mana or low on mana as you enter dampening, then that could be the strategy nLite is potentially going for. Drainer in a Hammer of Justice, good damage coming in. Tana just spamming out heals. And you can see his mana is doing quite well. He's still ahead over Drainer. And although there's good pressure from Zizon on nLite right now, things are quite stable. I mean, they still have every single one of their defensive cooldowns.
The build from Tana is entirely unique, running the Vitality Conduit, so some of the damage is split between the team members. Normally this would be pretty difficult to do, but it's smart because the Destruction Warlock is mostly single target, so it turns the Destruction Warlock into more of an area of effect class, which Chain Heal loves. Chain Heal loves to heal area of effect, so Tana has managed to build his Shaman in a way that turns the single target damage of Zizon into area of effect, and then his build is completely counteracts area of effect damage.
It's like Spirit Link in a way.
Yeah, the old school Honor Talent Spirit Link. It's very similar. Tana going to be jumping in some big heals. There's decent damage right now from Nerd Rage and Mercy. Kara both sub 50% health. Tana appears to be struggling. Zuniaki leaps in for crowd control. Tana pre-tremors the Fear into the Hex, onto the Fear. Beautifully done here by Tana. Perfect prediction of crowd control incoming. Then great at crowd control himself, but unfortunately Mercy just taking 0 damage.
Yep, I mean, that's kind of what we predicted. Destruction Warlocks are quite tanky early on, but that's also their weakness, is later on in the game when they don't have that same sort of self-healing, they can fall down quite easily. And now, Mercy's actually getting low. This could be danger time. Still has the unending resolve, but not going to rely on it just yet. If they have to overlap, are they getting low? What is happening right now? Huge damage from nLite. Mercy still did an unending resolve. He got really lucky to live there. I mean, he lived at 2% health. They almost killed him through Iron Bark. I cannot believe it.
Oh, I can't believe it either, but Zizon get away with it. Now Infernal's still available. I'm wondering when Mercy is going to pull the trigger on his most powerful ability. He's held on to it for some time, maybe waiting until Tana's in crowd control. Tana line of sights the Fear, avoiding it, so Mercy doesn't see an opening. Drainer's in a stun. Kara and Zuniaki trying to develop pressure. Going after Nerd Rage now, realizing that the soul leech healing of the Warlock might be a little bit too much, so attacking the Warrior instead. Trying to force Drainer to have heal over time effects on the 2 members. This will force him to expend a lot lot more mana. Decent damage onto both sides at this point with Kara at 50% as well as Mercy. Mercy secures the fear, but Blessing of Sanctuary from Kara, another great utility that the Retribution Paladin brings into the fight. Going to be removing that crowd control instantaneously. Tana's in position to perhaps Hex Drainer, although Drainer repositions now. Tana's chasing him. I think nLite want to play for the kill here shortly. If they can get one of those Hammer Justices into a Hex, certainly Mercy could be in trouble. Mercy drops the Unending Resolve to secure crowd control. Mercy wants to get aggressive. He's also called in Infernal, so he's activating his defense to get aggressive, and so far it's really melting down the health bars of nLite, but if it doesn't get a kill, he is going to be significantly behind, and it doesn't look like he's able to get a kill. Drainer knows that Hex is a very powerful crowd control, so he goes into bear form before the stun to deny the Hex incoming afterwards. Mercy secures, though, a spell lock on Tana, interrupting his heal. Nerd Rage gets follow-up crowd control. Kara, though, is there with the Blessing of Sanctuary to remove it. Tana now in position and no spell lock available to top the team, although Drainer at some point in this match has regenerated a huge amount of mana, and the mana lead that nLite had in Game 1 is not the same here in Game 2, and that could be a way that Zizon find victory.
I just wonder, at what point in the game is nLite going to realize maybe they should just run and hide, just push during Avenging Wrath? I mean, that's when we saw Mercy just get so low and then kind of just stall it out, wait till dampening. I mean, that could play into their favor. Tana's actually recovering a lot of mana here. I'm not sure if he got to sit down for a drink or what. He actually gets spell locks. Zuniaki could be in a little bit of trouble. Fear on Kara. Get nice plays by Mercy setting up his team, but Nerd Rage is getting low. Drainer's once again having to expend a huge amount of mana. Iron Bark onto Mercy is going to force nLite to change target, but they just have so much cleave damage coming in from the Retribution Paladin with this Avenging Wrath. You can see that offensive cooldown, Kara's nameplate, it's on fire. Every time that's up, he's going to be doing massive AoE damage, especially if Nerd Rage and Mercy are standing on top of each other. Full fear over onto Tana. Mercy at around 40% health. A lot of damage incoming.
Okay, so Mercy ended up making the first kind of newbie mistake here with the essences. So when you run Conflict and Strife, it gives you a third honor talent. But he changed the essence and then forgot to select the third honor talent. So he's only playing with 3 honor talents. And guess what one he's missing?
He doesn't have demon armor on.
He's missing demon armor. The thing that makes you basically immortal to melee. He actually doesn't have the thing that is supposed to make warlocks good against melee, and he's still not dying.
I was looking at it thinking, it's literally impossible that he's taking this much damage as a destruction of Warlock. That's why he doesn't have demon armor.
He doesn't have demon armor. Okay, all right. Kara and Zuniaki, they could easily clean up this game. Drainer's probably wondering what is going on right now. How am I having to heal just so much in this matchup? And that is absolutely unbelievable. Mercy's still alive at this point. Full fear over onto Tana. Blessing of Sanctuary coming in from Kara. That's going to be freeing him up. That utility is just really strong. I love that Kara is showcasing the Retribution Paladin here. I know Vanguard's in the back. He's probably very happy right now. Disarm over onto Kara from Nerd Rage. Good pressure mounting now for Zizon. Tana's definitely going to have to play a little bit of catch-up, but look at nLite. They are getting low, but they still have everything. They have Blessing of Protection, Divine Shield, Spirit Link Totem. Every single defensive cooldown that they need to stay alive in this game, they have held onto, and we're in dampening now. Things are going to start spiraling out of control for Zizon very quickly, especially because there's no demon armor for Mercy.
I mean, if they end up losing this, it might actually mislead nLite if they don't know that. They're like, wow, we actually do damage to the Warlock. Let's keep playing this. But, I mean, he doesn't have demon armor. At this point, Zizon expend all of their defensive lineup to survive the push. There is good counter pressure onto nLite. Kara and Zuniaki sub 50%, but Tana has the Ascendance, that boost of area of effect, healing the chain heal build, super effective, and now Mercy is likely to fall. There is not much defense left, and that big mistake of not selecting the demon armor honor talent is, I think, 100% going to cost Zizon game number 2. This is unrecoverable pressure now at 15% dampening. There's the secured crowd control. Mercy is all alone and will get decimated. nLite get a free win there in game number 2, even still with demon armor.
Top 8 in Europe right now, and they're looking to go through to the top 3 in this cup alone.
I'm refreshing the inspect client because
we gotta see.
Want to make sure. Wait, okay, he might be running Conflict and Strife this time. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, he has demon armor this time. Mercy has equipped the tool that is really good for him against this team. I mean, it's basically one of the main reasons he can survive this first attack for sure. Drainer tricketing out, connecting Iron Bark for the first big push of nLite. Zuniaki, though, is held on to his Sharpened Blade and his Warbreaker, so this may have been a bit of a bait from nLite to try and pull defensives from Zizon, and then they can move forward with the Sharpened Blade, Hammer of Reckoning, Warbreaker. Now that Iron Bark's over, Zuniaki is activating those abilities. Actually going after Nerd Rage, trying to switch targets, force Drainer to expend a lot of mana, but he had Innervate rolling, which makes all of his heals free. Well timed by Drainer, getting a lot of efficient healing. In the meantime, though, Kara secures crowd control on Drainer, then immediately connects onto Mercy with that Hammer of Reckoning and Avenging Wrath, and the crowd control follow-up from Zuniaki. This is devastating. Mercy, double Mortal Coil to deflect the assault. Entrenched in Flame, Conflagrate Root there on the Kara and Zuniaki to try and stall the reconnect, but he is still taking a beating. It's almost, I'm almost wondering if he does have Demon Armor, if he remembered to press it to buff himself, because this is a surprising amount of damage from nLite.
Yeah, it's there.
It's no guesswork. We can see it.
Yeah, we double-checked this game for sure.
Triple check. Nice monitor over there.
That's true. I can see these things. The all-seeing eye. All right, Mercy. He gets topped off. Things are looking a lot better for him. But, I mean, even without Demon Armor, it took nLite a little bit of time to take Mercy down in the last game, and I think it's going to be a similar story. But there has been big moments of burst here for nLite. And whereas for Zizon, I mean, Sid, what do you think their main win condition is? Do you think that, I don't think they're going to get 10 out of mana.
It's Spell Lock, Tana, Cleave damage on Kara and Zuniaki, I think, is their main win condition. So Mercy needs to be landing these Spell Locks. Fortunately, though, Tana actually has a way to get around it with the Spirit Walker's Grace. That is going to be allowing him immunity to incoming interrupts, such as the Spell Lock. So if there is ever a stressful situation, Tana can avoid it with that. But he has been using the Spirit Walker's Grace to get hexes and avoid the Spell Lock, so maybe they can punish that aggressive stance. Nerd Rage gets crowd control on Tana, out of line of sight of Kara. Kara wanted to come back and use Blessing of Sanctuary, but he was too far. Now two members caught in stuns. Kara the target here. Sharpened Blade for Nerd Rage. Going to be reducing the incoming healing on Kara quite significantly. Tana peculiarly is repositioned maybe on top of the Warlock. Maybe he's going to go for some Purges. This is a decent amount of damage. There's the Spirit Walker's Grace from Tana. Spell Lock not going to be able to be landed, and it allows him to recover. Mercy has Dark Soul rolling. He really wants to be dishing out some Chaos Bolts during this time, but he is just looking for fears. He does Spell Lock Tana, but it's he who is in trouble. The amount of damage from nLite's composition looks devastating, and I do think our criticism that they should not be bringing the Destruction Warlock in on this matchup. The Elemental Shaman would be much more favored. Even the Elemental Shaman Warrior, Elemental Shaman Windwalker, Elemental Shaman, just get rid of the Warlock. I feel like this is going to end up being a bit of a liability. I mean, at any point, nLite could decide, all right, we're done playing with Mercy. We're just going to stay at the pillar, wait until dampening, and then run you over if they really wanted to. And I think that's almost guaranteed victory if they decide to do it. But they are playing it out, and maybe actually even giving Zizon an opportunity to get a kill as a result. I don't think that it's likely we see them overwhelm Mercy. Maybe they want to make sure they have a mana lead. Spell Lock landed on Tana. This is supposedly the winning strategy for Zizon when Tana can't heal when he's spell locked. They want to burst down a target, but they don't have enough burst. Kara now has the Avenging Wrath active.
This damage.
Huge damage from him onto two members of the team. Iron Bark only going to be defending one. Nerd Rage could be swapped to at any moment. Mercy at least recovers for now. Zuniaki, the target of Nerd Rage. Tana moving forward. Curious if he's looking... Oh, he's actually looking for a Wind Shear on Drainer. Tana has been harassing Drainer throughout this series, just staying on top of him, constantly looking for hexes, Wind Shears, making it difficult for him to recover, which is exactly what he should do. I will say Tana is doing a phenomenal job representing the Restoration Shaman after we watched how abysmally awful it looked from Burley's perspective. The build that he's decided to run, the composition that nLite are playing with it, works so well in tandem that I think they're actually going to be able to outdo Zizon.
I mean, things are looking really good for nLite, and I feel like for some of these healers, you know, nLite kind of figured out that when you run a Discipline Priest, it's nice to have the support from the Survival Hunter as well as the Feral Druid. You get a lot of support with those two classes. Then, of course, with the Restoration Shaman, you kind of need the support of the Retribution Paladin. You get a little bit of extra healing, you get the Blessing of Wisdom, and when you pair those classes together, things actually don't look too bad. I mean, they're staying in the game. Tana's mana is doing quite well. He's dealing with the damage quite easily. And Zuniaki and Kara have been able to put out a ton of damage in this match so far. Of course, Drainer's mana is still doing quite well, but we have just entered dampening, and I really can't help but feel like as that number goes up, nLite is going to be looking better and better in this matchup so far. You can see Zuniaki still has his Die by the Sword, Kara still has the Divine Shield. Maybe they could force it in this moment, but with the Avenging Wrath, I feel like it's unlikely. Tana just spamming out the heals right now, and does manage to top off his entire team. Chain Heal is really good.
Yeah, this build from nLite is really good. Nerd Rage in trouble. Can't use Die by the Sword while disarmed, but Mercy saves him with a double Mortal Coil. Kara now trying to lead the charge. Avenging Wrath active. Going to be doing a lot more damage here towards Mercy. There's no defense for him. Unending Resolve on cooldown just as Zampening starts. That is not good for Zizon. It's looking more and more likely that nLite are going to take this 3-0. nLite, the team with a Discipline Priest, a Restoration Shaman, a Retribution Paladin, a Feral Druid, and a Survival Hunter. Probably those 5 together, there are other specializations, maybe like Demonology, that are lesser represented, but I would say overall, they're the underdogs in the tournament setting that has just been dominated by Restoration Druids, Destruction Warlocks, and Unholy Death Knights. So perhaps nLite can just counter the meta rather than force themselves to play along with it. They've been doing a great job so far, although we will say Zizon through game 2. Not having Demon Armor was a big mistake. Perhaps that will be enough, but the way that this match is playing out, it's not looking like it.
I mean, I think the biggest mistake was just the composition that they locked in. I feel like they really do have better answers. Maybe they know something we don't. Maybe they can make it work, but things just seem to be in favor of nLite at this point. Mercy, of course, on the Destruction War, like he can't get away. The Unbound Freedom for Kara and Zuniaki, they just have freedom. There's nothing really Nerd Rage can do to peel them up. I mean, he has Disarm, of course he has Stormbolt, but those are minimal tools to get a Retribution Paladin and a Warrior off your teammates. Although this is massive damage right now, Tana's definitely going to have to recover in this moment. This is Dark Souls, this is Infernal from Mercy. It's a lot of incoming damage, but these are the moments where you would expect Zizon to be getting a Divine Shield, a Spirit Link Totem, something like that, and with their major offensive cooldowns, they can't even pull out the Divine Shield. Maybe there's enough damage, but Zuniaki's just been able to shut down Mercy. Hero, once again, he's going to be sitting on top of Mercy, and this is where I think nLite's going to be able to recover. And now you can see their cleave damage really starting to add up. Drainer's managed taxed. It's about even with Tana at this point. Tana actually gets spell locked. Oh. Now this is a good situation for Zizon. They might be able to turn it around. Hero with the Avenging Wrath looking to put out massive damage. Zuniaki's Safeguard procs as well. That buys Tana a few moments to actually toss out some heals, and now nLite, they managed to recover.
Yeah, they recover. Spell lock out of the way. Tana connects big chain heals. Now the defense is starting to crack for Zizon. Huge Warbreaker, Sharpened Blade. Zuniaki doing a lot of damage. Mercy in trouble. Dampening now at 18%. Will Ironbark be enough? Mercy repositions. Zuniaki's disarmed by Nerd Rage. Nerd Rage trying to support the Warlock as much as possible, but inevitably the defense is about to fall. 15 seconds still away. Maybe a swap into Nerd Rage. They use the Hammer of Justice, a bit peculiar. Wasn't coordinated with the Stormbolt. That was definitely a blunder on nLite's part. That could have been a lot more devastating, but they get the Stormbolt into Hex. Tana's aggressive Restoration Shaman play has been critical for the team's ability to build momentum, but now Unending Resolve available. Likely going to have to be popped almost immediately, but he can't. Well, he's wind sheared by Tana. Down below half now, big hits incoming. Mercy is trying to hold on to it, but has to use it. Even still, it may not be enough. They still have to get through Spirit Link. They still have to get through Divine Shield and die by the sword. There's so many options for nLite. Drainer's lower on mana. Spelllock, this could be the Divine Shield force. They have to get Divine Shield during this time, but Tana already had the Earthen Wall Totem down, saving him and allowing him to sit through the Spelllock. Tana playing this Restoration Shaman beautifully, repping it here today in the tournament in Europe. The only one really making it work and having success with it. This interesting build of Vitality, Conduit, Essence, the only player really running it. He's definitely a trendsetter here for nLite, and perhaps they can do it and make it through the Restoration Druid, Destruction Warlock, Nightmare meta. They might be able to just outdo it and set a meta of their own.
I would never have dreamt nLite would 3-0 Zizon. I made a prediction earlier today, and I'm going to be wrong instantaneously in this tournament.
We'll
Mercy,
be wrong.
Yeah, all of us. Mercy gets caught into a stun, big damage coming in. Infernals do get dropped out. This is an opportunity, but Drainer's in a stun. He's got no mana. Zuniaki wants to land the execute, and he does. That's it. nLite, beautiful performance. I have to say, excellent job.
Everybody fears in these Rogue Mage Druid mirrors because they're so good at doing these Druid races. So I was expecting them to for sure go for the Rogue Mage Druid and Method Black to maybe swap to something else. It's going to be interesting to see though. Warwick's finally going to be tagged in. This is why they brought him in on the roster. Let's see if they can put a point on the board.
Yep, we'll have to see. This is a rematch, of course, of the Spring Finals, where Method Black were reverse swept by Diabolus, who went through to the Grand Final. Can Method Black get their revenge?
I think what this series is going to speak to is whether or not Walrix is going to be of much use to Diabolus. I mean, Cloud9 have been running this composition to great success. No other team has really been able to match their success with it. So Diabolus certainly want to be taking advantage of it if they can. This is now the test. It's in the upper finals. It's versus the #1 point earners in Europe, Method Black. I would argue the #1 team in Europe overall. I think the points do fairly represent that. Swapsy has been on the bench for some time, I feel. Method Black have just been almost exclusively running this Rogue Mage Druid in the summer season, and so far it's still looking good with pressure on Walrick. Smoke Bomb dropped down by Waz, looking for even further pressure. Interrupted, unable to use Unending Resolve, and Cycloned at low health. Chaz has been on fire with these Cyclones, looking to switch it over, not able to. Asgrath denies it, but there's still quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, Chaz, he's chasing down Asgrath. He's looking for that Cyclone. Is he going to be able to find it? Unfortunately, no. Gets interrupted. Good backup there by Alec, and Alec is trying to play as defensive as possible for his team, but I feel like what they need is damage. I don't know if the Mage Lock Druid actually wins the long game. I think eventually what we've seen is the Destruction Warlock just becomes sort of a vulnerability. We need to see some big attempts here coming in from Diabolus if they want to find victory. Icy Veins pulled out by Alec. What are they going to be able to get done? Raikou, he's actually opting to not play. He's not playing the Temporal Shield in this match, so maybe not expecting to be a target, or maybe doesn't think he needs the defense, or maybe he just wants the extra offense. Honestly, we'll have to see what they can get done. I'm going to take a peek at both of these mages' build here in a sec to see if any of them are running anything interesting. Walrick under fire at around 30% health right now. Asgrath trying to pick him up really quickly with that Iron Bark, and I think he should be able to do so. And I think both teams are looking pretty stable at this point.
I feel like this is one of those cases where you've got a Destruction Warlock on one side, you've got an Assassination Rogue on the other. If this game goes into deeper dampening stages, the Assassination Rogue just pokes the Warlock a little bit and ends up winning. Diabolus are mixing it up here, trying to attack Chaz and looking to get a kill, or at least catch him off guard, forcing multiple cooldowns in that single swap. Certainly he will have to be more cautious for a few seconds in this specific matchup, otherwise he could end up throwing the game, but in his current position appears to be doing all right. No Gladiator's Medallion for Walrix. Smoke Bomb up in another minute and 10 seconds. That's a big opportunity, but all these Restoration Druids now are running the Spring Blossoms build when playing with a Warlock. So the Efflorescence, that green circle on the ground, is a healing area of effect spell from the Restoration Druid. When you run the Spring Blossoms talent, it adds an additional heal over time effect, which scales their mastery up to a high level, increasing their overall healing output. Great talent build when healing a stationary target like a Destruction Warlock. We see almost every Restoration Druid running it now. Diabolus targeting down Raikou, but Chaz sees it coming, immediately stabilizing him from that attack. Both of these teams are looking evenly matched in game one.
Definitely back and forth at this point, and both of the mages are actually opting to run the Vision of Perfection, so it's quite a fun build. You get to basically have a chance to proc your Icy Veins, which obviously gives you a ton of haste. It allows you to get off a lot of Frost Bolts, or go for crowd control. If it procs at the right time, can be the difference between getting a polymorph and not. So we'll have to watch what mage is going to be proccing that and at what time, and see what they can really get done with it. Rake's done over onto Chaz. Good crowd control coming in from Diabolus, but they haven't really been able to get anything rolling just yet. And I think for Diabolus, I mean, when we watch Cloud9 run the Mage Lock Druid, one of their big win conditions is an all-in on the Druid, where they kind of save, you know, a Rake stun into a Bash, into an Infernal stun, into a Mortal Coil. At the same time, the Mage drops out, you know, Comet Storm, Ice Nova, the Frozen Orb, in a big all-in attempt. And if they can Kleptomania off the Gladiator Safeguard, they can definitely take down the Druid quite quickly. We've yet to see Diabolus try to pull off a maneuver like that, but I feel like that's the kind of plays they need to be looking for, because I just don't see them winning the long game.
Chaz getting good Cyclones here onto the enemy healer Asgarath, and then cycloning Walrix at low health. I would say that probably Chaz is one of the best Druids with Cyclone in the tournaments. He's definitely able to effectively utilize it and build a lot of momentum as a result. Certainly one of the factors to Method Black's success with this Rogue Mage Druid. Gladiator's Maledict activated towards Walrick. They're really trying to turn up the heat. They drop the Smoke Bomb, looking for that opening they had developed earlier, but Walrick just waddles out of it. It's a bit of a dropped ball by Method Black. That could have been a big opportunity to get an unending resolve. Chaz is still trying to assist with Cyclones, but inevitably gets counterspelled. Still no Iron Bark for some time. Dampening has just started, and Chaz has a mana advantage. That is not looking good, because that was one other way that Diabolus could win this in Dampening. Otherwise, it's just that impending matchup, the Assassination Rogue versus the Destruction Warlock, and we've seen time and time again the Assassination Rogue wins.
Yeah, I can't help but feel like Diabolus got outpicked in this game. I think if they knew Method Black was going to be running the Rogue Mage Druid, they would have been comfortable going into a mirror, but Method Black, of course, they're a team that can... Ooh, there's the Ice Block coming from Raikou. I was wondering if he was going to be able to get that off. He got quite low. That was a scary situation. He comes out early. Alex still doing good damage. Icy Veins proc for Raikou. He's looking to get really aggressive. There's only one Ice Block left, and maybe Diabolus isn't looking too bad in this matchup. Raikou getting really aggressive is going to have to play a little bit more careful. You can see good damage coming in. Alec drops the Frozen Orb. Raikou actually used both of his Shimmers, so he's kind of just locked down in this moment. He's got no mobility. Really trying to tank through a lot of that damage with that Iron Bark. Like I was saying, you know, Method Black as a team, not only do they run Rogue Mage Druid, but they have lots of other options. They can run the different cleave setups, like the Demon Hunter Death Knight. And I think if Diabolus blind locked in the Rogue Mage Druid, that's what they're afraid of, the Demon Hunter Death Knight, and that's probably why they decided to go with the Mage Lock Druid. Unfortunately, that's not what happened. Method Black, they locked in the Rogue Mage Druid, and things are looking good.
Even the Demon Hunter Death Knight, we've seen the Rogue Mage Druid strategy of just running at the other team's healer.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what they were anticipating. I just think they would have been confident in the mirror, don't you think?
I would have thought so. Otherwise, maybe they're just trying to say, like, we can make Walrix work, we can play this better than Cloud9. So far, I mean, they still have potential to win this with Raikou down one Ice Block, but we haven't seen any of those swaps. Only one on Chaz earlier, but not nearly as coordinated as what we would see from Cloud9. So I do want to see Diabolus look for those opportunities. It seems like they're just playing it patiently in center field, teeing off on anyone that comes in their line of sight. But so long as Raikou is aware of that and repositions adequately, then I feel like he can avoid a lot of damage quite easily. Dampening continues to rise, now at 15%. Get to that 30-40% mark. Walrix, he's going to become a liability, and if we look at his defense, he doesn't have unending resolve, which is a good way to answer during that critical moment of the match. Asgrath is very low on mana. I would say that things are snowballing out of control for Diabolus. It's up to them to get things rolling, and right now they're playing, I would say, too passively.
Yeah, I really want to see them attempt to go for those all-in setups. Asgrath's mana is doing really poorly. He's at 10% right now. I think he's trying to sneak away, get out of combat, and get a drink. We'll have to see if they're able to shut that down. Chaz moves forward. Is he going to be able to stop him? Yes, he does. Asgrath not able to recover too much mana. Kidney shot now on Walrix. And I think Diabolus is struggling in this situation.
All right, let's see if they can get something going. Right now, they're on the back foot. Asgrath's locked down in crowd control. Method Black have engaged. Walrix is trying to take control of the fight by fearing Waz. They do manage to stabilize him with crowd control. Of course, both teams bring an exorbitant amount of crowd control in this particular matchup. So every time that Asgrath is stunned or polymorphed, it is up to Alec and Walrix to then crowd control Raikou and Waz. They do this with polymorph and fear. And if they can get those crowd controls, they're going to stop all damage on themselves. If they can't, then they're going to get overwhelmed and run over. Smoke Bomb gets dropped again by Waz. Vendetta available, maybe a bait here for an Iron Bark, and then go for the kill with Vendetta. Asgrath's not falling for the bait. He stabilizes Walrix. Raikou is interrupted, but Raikou has correctly adapted his positioning. Actually, a little bit recklessly blinking into midfield, although he does have polymorphs for Alec, and Walrix is stunned. He can safely be out here, but he may look to navigate back to the pillar shortly. Chaz is crossing midfield, sets up for a stun. Raikou blinks over, gets the follow-up. This is where Alec and Walrix need to take control of the fight. Walrix is going to use Mortal Coil, and instead of crowd controlling, they're trying to counter pressure with a counterspell secured onto the healer Chaz. Maybe they can get a second Ice Block. Raikou is going to reposition during this crowd control. Will it be enough? Raikou is stunned up, going to be using that every man for himself, breaking out of it, then looking to get aggressive again. Walrix stunned on his Dark Soul. A bit surprising to not see him trinket this. I feel like we're not going to see this game go long enough that Smoke Bomb even becomes another threat. He doesn't get any damage really out with that Dark Soul. He's still just under fire, and eventually Waz's damage is going to be overwhelming.
Yeah, that's just how we see this matchup play out. That's why I don't think it's necessarily favorable unless they're going for these all-in attempts. Eventually, maybe Waz could be a target. Keep in mind, he's just sitting in the midfield. If Walric and Alec can get some damage rolling onto Waz and force him to run away, that's a position that would be advantageous for them. But so far, Waz has been able to do whatever he wants in this matchup. He's just sitting in midfield, sticking onto Walrix. He's never had to run. He's never had to retreat at any moment. But keep in mind, he's got no Cloak of Shadows. There's a big Chaos Bolt flying his way. He's getting low. Chaz definitely having to play catch up. Kleptomania. Waz actually in a lot of trouble. Are they going to be able to take him down? The bash. Waz flailing for his life, throwing out the feint. Ironbark comes in as well, barely holding on. And that safeguard trinket can be very, I mean, it can be off-putting, especially if it gets spell stolen right away. You think you have the safety net, and then it just gets removed instantaneously by the enemy mage. And that was a really, really close call for Method Black.
Diabolus have an interesting strategy with their interrupts. So the counterspell and their spell lock, they're almost exclusively dedicating it to Chaz. Normally you would see those interrupts on the mage Raikou to stop polymorphs, but Diabolus are allocating it onto the druid instead. And every time they land these interrupts, especially in succession, that's a huge amount of time that Chaz can't heal. And that's why that moment was so scary for Waz. Diabolus do take some risks by dedicating their interrupts to the druid. It means that Raikou can do whatever he wants, but so far it hasn't really surmounted into too much. Perhaps as dampening gets higher, it will cost them the game. Asgrath's going to make a trade here for the Frozen Orb, activating his Ironbark. That's a good trade in terms of cooldowns. Walrus is going to take no damage as a result. Waz going to be the dedicated target for Diabolus as he is the most overextended. This is also in an attempt to try and pull Chaz away from the pillars of line of sight so that he has to heal Waz, and if he overextends, then he's susceptible to crowd control or maybe even being swapped to. Chaz going to be dropping down his Ironbark here, and Diabolus decide to press the pause button on Waz with Polymorph and switch targets. Instead, Raikou doesn't have that defense, and a second Ice Block is forced almost immediately. We see here once again, Counterspell on Chaz. If Diabolus can keep up these interrupts, they now have their Unending Resolve here at Deep Dampening, and they have a good opportunity to find victory. Chaz is the one who needs to be fake casting through those interrupts, and if he can't, Diabolus may take it.
Yeah, and dampening's at 43% at this point, so it's going to be a struggle for Asgrath to actually top off Walrix. In terms of mana, Chaz is just so far ahead. He's at 80% mana. Asgrath's way behind. Walrix getting low. Unending Resolve forced to be traded out. That's a Gladiator safeguard. Walrix trying to capitalize on that situation. He's going to be throwing out some Chaos Bolts over Raikou's way. Chaz trying to keep him alive, but that's the Ironbark overlapped with the Ice Block. And now look at Raikou. He's really vulnerable. Doesn't have many defensive honor talents. And look at Asgrath. He actually trinkets out of a polymorph. Walrix still incredibly low. Chaz had to trinket out of a polymorph. This is scary for both teams, but I think it's ultimately Walrix who's going to fall in this matchup. Interrupt with the Ring of Frost over onto Asgrath. The Assassination Rogue damage just overwhelms. 48% dampening, our highest of the
to escape so easily. I think that is the main point that Diabolus look to exploit here on Tolvaron. Alec charging to center field, looking to try and find one of the enemy members in stealth. So currently Method Black is invisible to their opponents as Rogue Mage Druid. They all have access to a stealth ability. Asgarath is going to get found. Waz opens immediately, stunning Alec, silencing Walrix. They polymorph Alec, likely to polymorph him again. And then maybe we see them blink in for polymorph on Asgarath. No, Asgarath is far too far away from this fight, so crowd control will subside for Method Black. Instead, just looking to develop some pressure, get Rupture rolling onto Walrix. Raikou can generate some Icicles. And it looks like Raikou has got 5 right now, so every Frostbolt he casts, he gets 1 Icicle, and then he can use Ice Lance to launch them, which he has now launched towards Walrix, trying to get rid of that Soul Leech shield from the Warlock before making a big push, although on Tolvaron Arena prior to dampening, it may be unlikely that we see Method Black make a big push this early on.
I mean, it's just really difficult to take down Walrux. I think the biggest thing is they need a little bit of offense. See, the thing is, for Method Black, I don't think this is one of those matchups where they can just hide behind the pillar and win. I think they have to have Waz in there, interrupting Walrix, slowing him down, and although they're not getting the most work done in terms of actually taking him down, they are slowing down his offense, keeping themselves in the game and getting to their win condition. I think a little bit of offense is probably their best defense in this situation. Waz, Raikou still trying to develop some momentum. In the last game we saw, Asgrath, he struggled a little bit with his mana, but it didn't end up mattering too much. He never got to the point where he was completely tapped on mana. And I think, Sid, that is largely due to some of the new essences that we're seeing.
Yep, definitely going to be the ever-rising tide in the memory of Lucid Dream that allow the Restoration Druids to maintain a high amount of mana for most of the fight. Definitely a combination the Restoration Druids are going to be looking to exploit. I think for the Shamans, though, Tana was running a unique build with the Vitality Conduit Miner. It was definitely interesting to see on his part. I'm wondering if any teams, maybe even in North America, are going to look to try and utilize that moving forward in the tournaments for patch 8.2. Both teams continuing to just develop pressure onto each other. It is Method Black in the early game that will be taking more damage, which is why we likely see them focused more on defense. They do need to wait for deeper stages of dampening to get through the Soul Leech effect of the Destruction Warlock and the healing output of the Restoration Druid. If they try to make a push now, the target is going to be too durable, and then they expose themselves to the plethora of casted crowd control and damage spells of Diabolus. So far, no real openings. Decent damage right now onto Raikou, or from Raikou onto Walrix, but not even finding an Iron Bark. Mana is even at this point between both these teams. The cooldowns are even as well. Smoke Bomb available. Perhaps Waz can look to make a move with that. Asgrath, smartly so, getting into stealth, exploiting that Feral Affinity, and then stunning Waz. That allowed his team to develop a huge amount of pressure. Walrix is also running that Fell Fissure Honor talent, so every time he Chaos Bolts, it is going to place a green circle of Fell on the ground, which reduces healing on anyone standing in it by 50%. So if the target is stunned, they won't be able to move out of its healing reduction effect.
Ooh,
that's definitely a good way to build pressure, but this is the Smoke Bomb from Waz. Method Black make a push. Walrix is a bit unresponsive. Is Gladiator Safeguard going to proc, and that Mortal Coil heal is going to allow him to bounce back in the fight, but they do spell steal off the Gladiator Safeguard. Walrix down at 50%, but Asgrath is no longer in crowd control. It's Raikou who needs to be careful. He spent quite a bit of time in midfield, and he definitely took some hits from it.
Yeah, I mean, that was a little bit of a scary moment. They dropped the Smoke Bomb. They got good crowd control. They got the Safeguard out of the way, and now Walrix could be a little bit vulnerable moving forward. Mana still heavily in favor of Chaz. Like we kind of talked about, not sure how much the mana really is going to matter. It seems like until way later in the game where Resto Druids have to spam out regrowths, they're just not going to be going out of mana with just some of the new essences. They're just so powerful. We're about a minute away from dampening at this point. This is Polymorph onto Asgrath. Good control. Follow-up Cyclone. Kidney Shot onto Walrix. And he is getting low, but I think he should be just fine. Raiku's throwing out a big Shatter combo. He's about 50% health. Cyclone still onto Asgrath. Doesn't have the Iron Bark to fall back on. Netherward going to be traded out. And it looks like Raiku's trying to get it off and does manage to do so with a Spell Steal. Right now, Method Black, they're not under pressure whatsoever. I think in the last game, they realized there was a few close calls. And I know Method Black, they're a team that will play into their win condition. They don't want to be taking too many risks. I mean, as long as they have Waz in the open, I think Chaz is going to be able to easily heal him up. As long as Raikou doesn't overextend, and he always has at least one Shimmer to run away. Right now, Raiku's getting aggressive. Got a proc on his Icy Veins. He managed to find a Polymorph over onto Alec and moved into the midfield. Chaz slowing some of the healing coming in from that Iron Bark of Asgarath with getting a Cyclone onto Walrix, but that's going to fade. Good control here from Diabolus, but I really feel like Diabolus, they need to take a few more risks in this matchup. I want to see a big coordinated assault. It seems like all they're trying to do is just attack whatever's in the open. They're not making a coordinated all-in play. I think that's just one of the major differences we see when a team like Diabolus runs the Mage Lock Druid in comparison to a team like Cloud9. They just don't have those all-in attempts sort of figured out, that strategy perfectly executed, and they lose a major win condition because of it.
Method Black continuing to play it patiently. I would say that is the smart decision here, as they're already 1 point up in the series. If they can just get 2 up and move to match point, then I would say it's pretty much guaranteed they're going to have victory here, unless Diabolus can reverse sweep them in a mirror. I feel like the mirror might be their only way out at this point if Mage Warlock Druid doesn't work on their best map to run the composition. Walrix lobbing out a couple Chaos Bolts onto Raikou. Down to half, he's repositioning at the pillar, but gets Ice Nova'd for a second. Chaz, though, with an immediate Swift Mend, stabilizing him along with the Iron Bark. Raikou needs to reposition out of that Fell Eruption as soon as possible. Doesn't want to be standing in Fell Fissures. Raikou blinks in and secures crowd control off the back of Waz's cheap shot. Good coordination there between Raikou and Waz. You can tell years of synergy developed between them on this roster. I would say overall is all 3 of Method Black, and then their pickup of Swapsy as the 4th really rounds out their roster. They've got the setup and they've got the dampened strategies with Swapsy now on their roster as well. This is why Method Black is so dominant in the European scene. Raikou, though, being tempted at his life by Diabolus. Chaz ends up getting caught in a polymorph. Raikou is still in trouble and interrupted. Alex Ray of Frost fully channeled as Grath jumps into the fight. Raikou going to be wrapping around the corner alongside Chaz to recover, and this is really where Raikou's defensive play comes in. I feel like he's probably one of the most difficult mages in the game to kill. I'm not sure if he just has some sort of buff, the Raikou buff, where he just takes 20% less damage from being Raikou or something, but he is definitely one of the most difficult mages to kill. He is going to be positioned much more defensively here. Method Black still waiting for that deep dampening win condition on the Destruction Warlock.
Yeah, I mean, and it's inevitability. I feel like unless Method Black really makes a mistake, I think they have this game underway. And my major question is, if Method Black does win this game, what is Diabolus going to do? I mean, it doesn't seem like they have a clear win condition with the Mage Lock Druid. I don't know if they just haven't figured it out, or it's not the best matchup, or maybe Method Black's playing Rogue Mage Druid in a way where it's really difficult for Diabolus to actually land a kill. But I have to say, it seems like Method Black is favored in this matchup, so I wonder why Diabolus just isn't switching to the Rogue Mage Druid. I mean, maybe Nixie isn't available, something like that. Maybe they're just being stubborn. I'm not sure. We'll have to see what happens if Method Black does win this game. But if we just look at point standings overall, obviously this is still the upper bracket. I'm pretty sure Method Black has made the finals of every single cup this entire year. They've either gotten second or first, literally every single cup. And I mean, that's just why I put them at winning this tournament. They've just been so consistent. It seems like they have every single meta composition. If they don't have one of the best compositions, they start practicing it all day, every day until they do, or at least until they find an answer to win. And I mean, they're just such a consistent team. They have been this entire year. Diabolus, of course, right now, they need to get this win. They want to keep advancing and marching through that upper bracket and make it to the grand finals. Right now, they are currently not in the top 4. And you have to be in the top 4 if you want to make it to that summer finals. I feel like at this point in Europe, it's pretty much a guarantee that Method Black is going to be the team that qualifies on points. I would bet on it for sure.
If they don't win in Summerland. I mean,
if they don't get first or second at the Summer, yeah, that's true. If they don't get first or second at the Summerland, they are the team that has such a commanding lead on points. I don't see any team really catching up to them. There is an attempt here over on Raikou. Alec actually has traded out both of his ice blocks, so he could be vulnerable a little bit later on. Raikou actually getting bursted down. Alec putting out big burst damage. Frozen Orb, Common Storm, Ice Nova, everything gets traded out, but Chaz deflects that with the Iron Bark. I'll have to see if Raikou's going to be able to survive. I think we're at around 28%, 27% dampening right now. In the last game, it took around 48% healing reduction in order for Walrix to fall. But Sid, do you see any openings for Diabolus?
I mean, the only opening is their interrupt strategy. So now, in the deeper dampening stages, I expect Alec and Walrix to shift their spell lock, shift their counterspell usage to Chaz. And then it comes down to Chaz. Can he avoid those interrupts? If he can, then they're going to overwhelm Walrix. They might just kill him right now through Iron Bark. Dampening is now at 30%. They drop the Smoke Bomb. This is to try and get Unending Resolve on top of it. They Cyclone Walrix at low health. Iron Bark is going to be fading. If they can get both defensive cooldowns in one singular push, this could be lights out for Diabolus in game number 2. But Walrix deflects, double Mortal Coil. Going to be healing himself up, getting a couple Chaos Bolts onto Raikou. Where are you going to go, Raikou? You're in midfield, facing a Destruction Warlock and a Mage. This could be devastating. Maybe we look to see if he shimmers back to the pillar. You're spending a lot of time out in the open, and that's because he's used his counterspell on Walrix to stop Chaos Bolt from being casted. Boss going to try and reconnect, but annoyingly feared away by Walrix. Raikou is a bit reluctant to retreat. Alec currently with Icy Veins rolling, although it could be the Vision of Perfection. Icy Veins, perhaps they should look to respect that cooldown. Alec is going to be doing an enhanced amount of damage at this point in time. Asgrath repositions. He saw Chaz sneaking across the map to crowd control him, so he's going to make a quick getaway. Chaz in stealth trying to find him, but gets sniped by Walrix with the Shadow Fury. Beautiful Shadow Fury on Walrix. Now Asgrath can see Chaz and more easily avoid him. We see Asgrath reposition away. If Chaz can get on top of Asgrath during this time, there's actually no ice blocks on Alec, and Asgrath has no Gladiator's Medallion, but I mean, the safest strategy is still to just tunnel down the Warlock until deep dampening, I think, and just push him over like a wet noodle at that point. But They could switch to Alec if they get crowd control. Chaz gets Ursul's Vortex back on his Wild Charge and now gets swapped to. This is a big mistake by Chaz getting caught out, but fortunately for him, he has a Glidier's Medallion. He can escape that situation, but he won't be able to again for another 2 minutes.
Now, this is where I want to see a big all-in. They have the Infernals. They're going to have the Icy Veins without Chaz having a Trinket. I really want to see Diabolus go after Chaz and try to just remove the Gladiator Safeguard when it procs and all in him. I really think they can do it. We'll have to see if they actually execute on that. Right now, I mean, Raiku's got both of his ice blocks. He's sitting pretty at this point. And you can see Chaz using the Iron Bark, allowing Raikou to sit in the open with his Icy Veins and start really generating some pressure. I feel like unless Diabolus starts getting some damage rolling over onto Waz, they're just waiting to lose. Like, they need to either force Waz away, they need to try to set up a one-shot onto Chaz. I think going after Raikou is a strategy that works if the mage isn't paying attention, but if he keeps the Shimmer and he just runs behind the pillar anytime he's in danger, I think Chaz is going to be able to keep him up for quite some time. And I really feel like Diabolus have to turn their attention somewhere else.
Wondering what build Waz is running, if he's focusing on versatility. He is running mostly versatility as the primary stat to make himself more durable. Makes sense. I mean, he's the rogue. He needs to be in melee range of the target, which means he's going to be in midfield, so he's going to take more damage. So building his character around taking less damage makes a lot of sense. It allows him to soak up huge amounts of damage and stay on target a little bit longer, which is exactly what he needs. We are now at that mark where dampening becomes overwhelming for the Warlock, and Asgarath is completely out of mana, but luckily his Innervate's up, so he gets free healing for a couple of seconds here to save Walrix, but even still with that free healing, is struggling. Ironbark is about to fade. If they can get an ending resolve, he gets interrupted, he can't. Waz is looking to close it out. Alec is keeping him slowed down with the Cone of Cold, but inevitably Waz going to be reconnecting. Vendetta, Smoke Bomb available, could be a big push. They drop the Smoke Bomb, they Frost Nova him inside the Smoke Bomb, then into the Kidney Shot, but they opt to Cyclone him at not too low of health. I'm not the biggest fan of this Cyclone right now on the Walrus. This is probably one of the few times where I'm not a fan of Chaz's Cyclones. Raikou is forced to blink back, but he's got Icy Veins up. He wants to finish the game, but he's stunned. A big Chaos Bolt. He's not going to Ice Block.
Iron Bark.
Disrespect by Raikou. I mean, at 51% dampening, that Iron Bark may have not been enough. Risky decision by Method Black, but they do survive. Asgrath, is he drinking? How much mana did he get? Waz was trying to find him, but he can't find him. Blizzard is 1 inch away from him. I think he went back to at least half. He's got enough mana to keep this fight going now for some time, and if you're Method Black, that is not good.
I wonder if mana even matters. Like, I feel like they should have just focused their damage on Walrix instead of trying to shut down that drink. I think healing reduction is just so high. The Assassination Rogue, no matter what Asgaroth really tries to do, is again eventually going to fall. And instead of chasing him down, trying to distract him and sap him or go for a Blizzard when you don't exactly know where he is, just attack the Warlock. And ultimately, I don't think it's going to matter too much in the situation. Raikou forced away once again. Alec doing a good job with his damage. And he just started landing some pressure onto Waz, though. I feel like they have to make him run away. Chaz kind of really struggling to top off Raikou in the situation. We are at 56% dampening. Walrix does land a Chaos Bolt over onto Waz. Interrupt now on Alex. Raikou blinking in. What damage does he have available? It's going to be a Comet Storm. There's no Frozen Orb just yet, but the next Kidney Shot Frozen Orb is going to be devastating here for Walrix.
All right, let's see if they can just close it out here. Huge damage, dampening at 60%. We're getting close to that mark where we're going to prove who is right and who is wrong between us on the desk. I think this game is actually going to decide it. What did you say, 62%, Ben?
We've got 63, 65, 67, and Zico of
I was
71.
65. It's whoever
so that's
is
what we're doing.
Closest without going over, right? So 65 is my number. We're getting pretty close to that 62. Are you worried?
No, I was wrong already. My prediction's already wrong. I'm out of this.
You're supposed to at least pretend to care. So it's
I care a lot. I really hope it doesn't go over that magic number. Kidney Shot on Walrus. Interrupt over onto Asgarath. Method Black looking to close out the game. Waz single-handedly trying to set something up. We'll see if he can get it done. Raikou, Frozen Orb up in around 30 seconds. Still, Walrix able to hold on. Big Shatter combo from Raikou.
62.
He's been putting out a lot of damage.
You lose.
I'm out. That's fine.
All right, 65
well,
is
it's the
the
other way
next
around,
one.
right? If it goes over, if your prediction's over, you lose. So
no.
If it were to end right now, Venruki would still be in it.
No, he wouldn't. I would be, because it's closer to, I'm going to lose too. It's going over 65. What did you bet, Zico?
71. It's not going over 71.
Yeah, I think Zico wins.
We'll see.
All right, if he dies,
wait, look.
Please die right now.
Ironbark is coming up. If he can hold on just a little bit longer, Alex needs to get some damage. Raikou actually blinks into the midfield. Big Chaos Bolt coming in. Raikou just blocks it, even though it was Ironbark. that was actually a little bit of a scary moment. There is hope here for Diabolus. You would expect them to lose at this point, but because Raikou overlapped his Ice Block with the Ironbark, there's a small chance they could take him down. Full kidney shot coming in from Waz. Asgaroth just spamming out Nourish. The Cyclone on his Trinket, denying the heals from Ironbark. I like that Cyclone coming in from Chaz. Chaz actually gets interrupted. There's no follow-up Cyclone, but at this point, Raikou can just free cast Frostbolt. Smoke Bomb gets dropped out. Asgaroth in a nightmare situation. 69% reduction in healing, and Wall Rix falls. I think the only one still left in this is Zico.
Yeah.
He won.
Yep.
The heavily anticipated Rogue Mage Druid mirror.
Ooh.
Diabolus, they're famous for their Druid tunneling strategy in Rogue Mage Druid mirrors. Let's see if they can put it to the test.
I'm literally jumping up and down in my chair. We've been waiting for this for so long. The Rogue Mage Druid. We hear in the backstage that Diabolus should win this. Let's see if they can against Method Black.
All right, both mages just meeting each other in midfield, tossing frost bolts at each other. Who's going to get crowd control first? Chaz is in a Cyclone. Asgaroth is not, so he should be able to easily deal with this first attack. Both of the mages appear to be the target for now, which is totally different than we saw in North America. The Rogues were the primary focus. I'm curious to see how Europe plays the Rogue Mage Mirror matchup in comparison.
Is Waz and Nixie just going for a re-stealth? Yeah, it looks like they open up on the mages, immediately just go for a re-stealth, now realizing they cannot. Looking to go for some stuns over onto Alec. Nixie lands a cheap shot. Is there going to be follow-up crowd control? Chaz gets caught into a Cyclone. Raikou in a kidney shot. Good attempt here by Diabolus. Waz trying to defuse the situation with a Growth Silence onto Alec and a stun on Nixie, controlling up the enemy team. But I still think Raikou could be in some trouble. Gladiator Safeguard does proc. Polymorph secured onto Chaz. Doesn't want to trinket out of that just yet. Asgaroth actually sits the blind into a full Ring of Frost, and Alec appears to be A-OK.
All right, interesting decision by Diabolus to sit all that crowd control. Perhaps Method Black can develop some momentum here. Alex still isn't totally recovered. Vendetta is rolling for Waz. A bit surprising to not see Ironbark activated to trade for that cooldown. Waz sets up a Shadow Step kick, but even that's not enough to dent him. Raikou is the one who's actually just taking huge...
Oh!
Okay, that's an oof.
Oh no!
That's an oof.
You cast him, Sid. You said the reverse sweep, Sid.
I don't know if you really... I don't count the last game. I think that's just a bit of a throwaway.
And the scoreboard counts it.
An oof moment. The scoreboard counts it, but here now in this next game, I think if Method Black cleaned it up. They also maybe haven't played a Rogue Mage Mirror in 8.2 in some time. Talents have changed here. Temporal Shield for both mages, as they were the targets, so they want a little bit more defense. This always happens in Rogue Mage, especially European Rogue Mages. The mages just run in melee range of each other and start frost bolting. They don't even care about the stealth start. They just want to immediately start generating damage. Crowd control, though, secured for Diabolus and the Chaz, but they're actually going for blind first. Method Black make a big move, committing that big crowd control, and they don't get any follow-up. They don't get any cooldowns. I would say that Diabolus are in a good position now.
Yep, Chaz looking for a Cyclone, does manage to find it with a Polymorph on Nixie. Beautiful cross crowd control. Chaz getting a bash on Asgaroth. It should be Alec that's in trouble. There's no Temporal Shield, but unfortunately there's no follow-up crowd control. Chaz with another Cyclone. He's going to be freezing Alec's hit points. Nixie looking for a Smoke Bomb play, but unfortunately Alec in that Cyclone wasn't able to get out too much damage. Now, big burst coming in onto Raikou. Temporal Shield should be enough to bounce him back, but that was a nice Cyclone by Asgaroth. Beautifully done, absorbing all of that healing. Now Raikou could be in a little bit of trouble. Gladiator Safeguard procs. Ironbark has already been traded out, and Raikou is completely on the back foot.
What is happening? Is Method Black wearing gear? It feels like Diabolus are totally in control of this game. They sat through blind, didn't have to do anything. They've got so much pressure. I'm waiting for Method Black to finally turn it around. They drop Smoke Bomb, but they just walk out of it. This is a big wasted Smoke Bomb now as well. This is just sloppy for Method Black here in games 3 and 4. I mean, this could potentially go to a game 5 if it keeps up. Diabolus have crowd control on 3 members. Raikou is isolated. If they can get an Ice Block this early, that's devastating. Big Flurry could find it. Cycloned on Ironbark. Great play by Asgaroth.
Ooh, kidney shot from Waz. It looks like they're changing target. They're changing pace. They're going to be going after Asgaroth instead, stealing Diabolus' strategy. Raikou's still a little bit low. Asgaroth looking to get away. Raikou could be in some trouble. He's really low. Is he going to 2 games in a row without Ice Block?
Close.
He does manage to get it off, but Diabolus, like you said, they just seem to be in complete control.
I mean, this is actually insane. I think Method Black may have to change their composition if this keeps up. What's so surprising is that Method Black, I think, are something like 8-0 against Change My Mind in the Rogue Mage Mirror, but now here against Diabolus, it seems like a totally different team. They're desperate. They have to attack Asgrath. They're too far behind. They have to find a kill there. Raikou in trouble, potentially still on hypothermia. Cold snaps for an ice barrier absorption, then tries to blink away, but Nixie connects. Waz tries to peel him away. Waz still gunning for the kill on Asgrath. Method Black at this point have said, all right, we're not winning the mage race. We need to try and kill Asgrath. Waz is just Terminator style at him to try and find a kill, but the longer they spend on him, I think the more ice blocks Raikou is going to expend. Now deciding to come back onto Alec, but Asgrath is not in any crowd control. No counterspell to stop his healing or his cyclones. Waz gets cycloned. That should prevent a lot of damage on Alec. Raikou gets stunned by Nixie. Is Alec going to blink into crowd control Chaz? Doesn't look like he can. There's a decent amount of pressure towards him. Method Black need to start getting things rolling here. They still haven't gotten through the Gladiator's Medallion of Asgrath. They still haven't gotten through the first ice block. There's a big lead for Diabolus.
Diabolus is looking good. Chaz does have a little bit more mana than Asgrath, I believe, in this situation, but I don't think it's going to come down to that. Waz actually making an attempt now over on a Nixie. Frozen Orb gets dropped out with a kidney shot. Asgrath forced to trinket out of a blind, I do believe. Actually, I don't think it was the blind, so now he won't have that available a little bit later on. Kidney shot now secured over onto Chaz. A big attempt here by Diabolus. This is their strategy. They look for these all-in attacks on the Druid. They might be able to get it done. Safeguard procs. It's Barkskin, Iron Bark, Trinket, everything out of the way. Chaz doesn't seem like he can recover. If Nixie can stay on target, Chaz is going to be in a world of hurt. Raikou blinks in, trying to help him out. Frost over on Nixie, and looks like Chaz is able to escape. Alec with that Ray of Frost is keeping him low. That Cyclone could be the game-winning Cyclone. If Nixie can get to his target, if he can land a stun onto Chaz, it's over. But unfortunately, Raikou and Waz back him up. Nixie gets caught into crowd control and has to change his target. That was a really nice attempt there by Diabolus, but Chaz manages to hold on.
Smoke bomb attempt here from Nixie, but Raikou gets out of it instantaneously. Not going to get any value off of that. Mana is heavily in favor of Method Black, but Raikou is so far behind on cooldowns. His Gladiator Safeguard has proc. Nixie in trouble now. Method Black mixed it up again, trying to find some vulnerability on another target, but Nixie looks A-okay, looking to lead the charge for the second ice block. Alec, in the meantime, burning through a cold snap as well.
He traded out an ice block just for nothing.
I mean, maybe he doesn't want them to be going after Nixie. It seems uncertain as to why Alec would do this. Maybe potentially just big mistakes from both mages in this series overall. We're in the upper bracket final, a best of 5. The winner of this advances to the grand final. The loser goes down to the lower bracket to face nLite. And if you're nLite, I'm wondering what composition you're going to bring to prepare against them. I almost think that nLite would prefer to get Diabolus down in the lower bracket. Their compositions are a bit more predictable than that of Method Black. Method Black have so many in their arsenal, and nLite are so limited. So I think if you're nLite, you're cheering for Method Black right now to just take this and close it out so that you have a better opportunity against the more limited team in terms of composition. Asgrath is still very far behind on mana, and ice blocks surprisingly are even at this point. No Gladiator's Medallion for Nixie. I would say that Method Black have battled their way back into this game with just consistent pressure.
Yeah, I mean, Alec, like we kind of talked about, he traded out one of his ice blocks, so he's on an even footing with Raikou. In fact, he's behind because Raikou had to use an ice block earlier, which means his third ice block and Cold Snap will be coming up a little bit sooner in the match. So if Method Black can keep up this consistent pressure, things are going to be looking good. Asgrath a little bit low on mana. Alec gets interrupted. Good damage coming in. Nixie shuts it down a little bit with a kitty shot over on Raikou. Raikou looking for crowd control. Finds the Ring of Frost onto Asgrath. Now Alec's in trouble. Temporal Shield gets traded out. Is he going to be able to survive? It procs. Didn't do that much healing. Raikou and Waz still all over Alec. Asgrath does have the Iron Bark. Is he going to throw it out? Overgrowth. No Iron Bark going to be traded out. Really? He throws the Cyclone onto Raikou. Alec should be able to recover. And it looks like Diabolus, they're back in it.
Yep, both teams battling it out here now at 10% dampening. Asgrath jumping over, looking to help with crowd control. Snipes the Hibernate with the Ring of Frost combo. Raikou is isolated. This could be his second ice block. They need a little bit more damage. Can they find it? Waz is shutting him down. They don't have the damage potentially now. Raikou blinks away, polymorphs the Rogue while Asgrath is interrupted and can't dispel. Raikou holds on to his second ice block as a result of Waz's defensive maneuvers. Chaz still maintains a significant mana advantage. Alec is going to be down 1 ice block to 2 here very shortly in another 30 seconds. He may just go down without blocking. It would be a massive blunder if he did so. Temporal Shield activated right before Asgrath gets crowd controlled. Nicely done by Alec. This is absorbing all the damage and healing him back up, but equally so, Method Black secure crowd control, and the chain is quite long. Will Alec fall? He's interrupted. Raikou is low as well. They can't afford to throw here. Diabolus potentially taking this to a game 5. Comet Storm comes crashing in, but Iron Bark's active from Chaz, denies the kill. Alec appears to be the one who's in trouble. Still no Iron Bark from Asgrath for 4 more seconds. Alec gets cycloned at low health, denying crowd control off of the cheap shot of Nixie. Nixie is now cycloned. Alec is taking a huge amount of damage. Chaz is moving forward to crowd control Asgrath. He gets the cyclone. Alec could be in trouble. He's stunned up. Nixie slows down the fight by stunning Raikou at the same time, but the cyclones just keep coming onto Asgrath. Iron Bark needs to be enough here. Looks like it's going to be for Alec. Was in a polymorph, Chaz in a hibernate. Perfect crowd control from Diabolus here to reverse the pressure onto Raikou.
Yeah, Alec in a growth silence, getting shut down a little bit here by Wasp. In the meantime, Raikou also taking quite a bit of burst. Alec looking to get some damage rolling. Both Druids out of crowd control right now. Chaz looking for a Cyclone, finds it on Asgrath. Alec could be in some trouble. This could be his second ice block. He's not messing around. He trades it out, and he's got another minute and 20 seconds until his third ice block and cold snap are going to become available. That means he is a little bit of a vulnerability here for Diabolus. Method Black, they could close out the game right now. One good crowd control chain on Asgrath. They can force out a Trinket with the blind, then land a Ring of Frost off the back of a bash or a cheap shot. That's what they need to win the game. Alec getting a little bit low. Still a ton of damage coming in from Method Black. Beautiful smoke bomb by Waz. Tranquility gets traded out by Asgrath to keep him alive. Alec blinks away. Waz follows him with the Shadow Step. He's going to be all over him. Asgrath into a bash. Is there a follow-up Ring of Frost? Unfortunately, not able to find it. Raikou is out of line of sight. He's just going to be looking to get some damage rolling, but I think Alec with the Temporal Shield, with the Iron Bark, should be able to bounce back. That Cyclone was just insanely well timed by Chaz. He denies the Temporal Shield healing. He denies the healing from the Iron Bark. And now Alex is going to be in some trouble.
Yeah, Alec is going to be in a lot of trouble. He needs 24 seconds. Is he going to have 24 seconds on the clock? Method Black could push forward with the Frozen Orb. They've got Alec pinned down in a kidney shot. This damage could be overwhelming. 16 more seconds. He blinks away, but he's got follow-up. Waz is going to close it out. Method Black take the series 3-1. They're in the grand final once. This is nLite winning, okay? This isn't nLite winning. This is Diabolus.
You have to own that you said Diabolus is going to win. So
I said Mage Dog Druid was going to win. I can't predict that they're going to randomly pick this.
All right, well, let's see. Maybe they can actually win with this composition. I mean, Diabolus, I feel like some of the teams, their picks have been a little bit off in these games. I'm not sure why they would have picked the Mage or the Warlock Rogue Druid, the RLD. Maybe they can make it work, but I think Walrix is going to be in a world of pain. Cassidy, Kara, they've been able to put out massive pressure in this matchup. Zuniaki on the Discipline Priest as well. His added damage can become really overwhelming for Asgrath to deal with.
Yeah, let's see if Diabolus can force them back here with some pressure of their own. Cassidy stunned up. Zuniaki preparing for it by gripping Cassidy back. Still not really that far away from the fight. Chaos Bolts fly in. Cassidy Shadow melds one. Zuniaki is forced to sit through a blind as he is running that Relentless talent. Nixie gets the sap. Perfect crowd control. This means 2 members of the team are going to be in a lot of trouble. We were counting this composition out, but they certainly have a lot of momentum with 2 members hovering around that 50% health mark. Zuniaki has a lot of work ahead of him.
Yeah, Kara caught into a Cyclone right now. Zuniaki, like you said, he's got his work cut out for him in this matchup. It's a lot of healing you're asking for from a Disciplined Priest, but like I said on Friday, if there's any Disciplined Priest I believe in doing it, it's going to be Zuniaki. Gets interrupted there on a Shadowman. Unfortunate. Does manage to find a penance. Walrix forced to run away just a little bit. Asgrath now caught into an Intimidation Sun. Can Zuniaki get there for the fear? Unfortunately, a preemptive Vortex by Asgrath denies that fear. That was really nicely done. He dropped a Vortex onto Zuniaki. Then when he got caught into the Intimidation Sun, Zuniaki didn't have the mobility to actually get there. Walrix in some trouble though, Sid.
Yeah, Asgrath still in crowd control. Glider Safeguard has proc. Walrix in a lot of trouble. Iron Bark barely stabilizing him from that assault. Both these teams coming out swinging in game number 1. Mana, surprisingly, even at this point, Zuniaki doing a fabulous job. Asgrath bashed up. They switched to Nixie. They bank an evasion. Great swap by nLite. Realized that Walrix defense was too high. Switching targets and pulling more defense from another target is going to be a better option for them. Now they have 2 targets to go after moving forward for the next crowd control, which is the Freezing Trap of the Hunter. Chaos Bolts lobbed out towards Cassidy. Rapture from Zuniaki going to be enough to recover here. I'm very curious what essences Zuniaki is running in this build. We haven't seen basically any Discipline Priest, and it looks like Kara, Cassidy, they're all
big swap!
the Crucible of the Flame, which is adding a lot of extra damage during their crowd control attempts. They're the only team to be coordinating their essences to run 3 of the same one, being that Crucible of Flame. I think that's the essence you get just from logging into the current patch of Battle for Azeroth. So definitely one that I'm going to be looking to check out after this. It looks quite potent, at least for them. Nixie is still in trouble. That swap earlier.
A lot of trouble. He's dead. He's dead.
Do it. Kara is still low. Walrus looks to finish him, but Pain Suppression denies it. nLite take game number.
But I feel like in this matchup, this is where Arcane Mage could excel. You bring in an Arcane Mage with an Arms Warrior, and maybe that's a solid answer. You'd be really durable. I mean, maybe that's something that they want to consider moving forward. The problem with the Destruction Warlock is you're kind of just a sitting duck. Like, you're going to get tunneled down. There's no question. You can't really kite away. Now they're not even going to have the same sort of peels. Nixie, unfortunately, is not going to have a kidney shot. He can consistently shut, either Kara or Cassidy down in this matchup. And I think things could spiral out of control really quickly. On the plus side for Diabolus, they have an Arms Warrior, does a lot of damage. They have a Destruction Warlock that does a lot of damage. So really anything can happen. But with the way nLite's been playing, I feel like they're going to be able to hold on and bring it to their win condition.
All right, let's see if they can do it here. Diabolus down 1 in this best-of-5 series, lower bracket final. Loser goes home in 3rd place. Winner goes to the grand finals to face off against Method Black. Who can best Method Black? That's the question that time and time again in Europe. Perhaps this ragtag team of misfit compositions that have come together with this Jungle Cleave and the Ret Warrior. Maybe it's enough to take down Method Black. We'll find out here. They still need to get through Diabolus. So far, their strategy appears to be attacking Nixie and avoiding the Warlock. Definitely an option for them to play for the later stages of dampening and find a kill on the Warlock if they so choose. Nixie is playing hyper aggressive, staying on the Disciplined Priest, but with thorns from the Feral Druid, that's a thorn in Nixie's side. He can't stay on that target. He's taking too much damage. He's going to be leaping back to a different one, that being Kara. Big connect from Walrus with that Chaos Bolt, but equally so, nLite respond with damage of their own.
Yep, Cassidy caught into a fear. Walrus trying to get control of the game just a little bit. There's been good pressure. There's the Iron Bark. What are they going to be able to get done? Asgaroth moves in. He gets the bash. He preemptively gate. That was actually really nice by Asgaroth. I want to highlight that. He ran in, got the bash on Zuniaki, and instantly gated away, knowing Zuniaki would use the Everman for himself and try to get the counter fear, and he just avoided that situation entirely and managed to get Zuniaki's Everman for himself. So nice plays there by Asgaroth.
All right, let's see what happens here. Freezing Trap, Psychic Scream, good crowd control from the team of nLite. They are spreading the pressure onto 2 targets, that being Walrix and Nixie. This way, if Asgaroth uses a big healing spell like Swiftmend or Iron Bark, nLite can switch to the other target that Asgaroth will now no longer be able to use those abilities on. In the meantime, Diabolus are doing similarly, going after Kara and then switching to Cassidy when Zuniaki commits his heals. Both teams playing equal strategies. Cassidy falling behind in this position, having to use survival instincts to survive. Asgaroth jumps in, getting crowd control on Zuniaki, but Kara looks to protect him. Standing next to Asgaroth, looking for a freezing trap. If Kara can snipe this, it could be devastating. Now coming back and attacking Nixie. Nixie wants to go after Zuniaki, but the concentrated flame forces him back. He has to retreat. That triple concentrated flame from nLite doing devastating amounts of damage onto Nixie at this point in time. Crowd not able to find crowd control, unfortunately for the team, but look at the mana.
Yeah, I mean, this is something we definitely need to look into, too. Walrus is actually getting really low. I wonder if he's going to be able to survive the situation. I think he should be able to. He still has the unending resolve, but I feel like one of the reasons why nLite is doing this is Dark Archangel, I think, affects Concentrated Flame for all 3 members. So you stack it up, you use Dark Archangel, and that gives you a massive punch, especially for these compositions that rely on crowd control, like Jungle Cleave. Nixie's just falling over. Iron Bark is traded out. You could easily fall. Big heals coming in from Asgaroth, keeping him alive, but nLite really keeping Diabolus guessing in this matchup. However, Diabolus has managed to find some solid pressure. Zuniaki has a little bit of work cut out for him. Now Walrus in trouble. There's no Iron Bark, a full trap onto Asgaroth. He's playing the Relentless, so he never really has a trinket. All crowd control will be a little bit less on him, but if he gets caught in these chains, there's no get out of jail free card like you have with the Gladiator's Medallion. Relentless can sometimes backfire.
All right, let's see if nLite can do it and pull it off here. So far, these teams are looking evenly matched. Walrix's Essence of Vision of Perfection going to be calling in an Infernal. His Chaos Bolts could be devastating, getting 2 in a row. Cassidy is forced to trade another charge of Survival Instincts to reduce damage from that. Big value play from Walrix's Essence in that position. Mana has now been turned in favor of Diabolus with a slight lead there. We're getting closer to dampening at this point, roughly 40 seconds away. Perhaps nLite can overwhelm the Destruction Warlock in dampening, but perhaps Diabolus just outright kill nLite before that point in time. The Thorns has been hyper valuable for Cassidy as well to force Nixie away from Zuniaki. I mean, currently Nixie is hammering away on him, getting mind controlled, but now Mortal Coiled on it instantly. They actually killed off the Fell Hunter of Walrix. He has no interrupt at the moment, and he does get stalled on its resurrection. Zuniaki is still being tunneled down by Nixie. Nixie trying to create some split pressure there. Looks like Walrix is going to get his Fell Hunter back into the fight. Zuniaki likely to recover. I love what nLite do. They always playing goalie for Zuniaki. They know as the priest that it's very difficult to recover being tunneled down by a melee, so nLite will switch to the melee, put pressure onto them, and force them to go back or to go to their grave. And that instant swapping from nLite is enabling Zuniaki to have success with the Discipline Priest.
Zuniaki tried to sneak away for a drink. They left him alone for just a moment. Nixie immediately realizing what Zuniaki was trying to set up, he leaps over, starts some damage rolling. Thorns, once again, like you said, it's a thorn in the side of Nixie. He's forced to retreat, doesn't want to be taking unnecessary damage. Dampening now just kicking in. Now as dampening gets higher and higher, Zuniaki of course will be more vulnerable of a target, but I feel like Walrix is going to be such a vulnerability on the Destruction Warlock. As that healing gets reduced by dampening, inevitably he becomes more vulnerable. And if they can get crowd control onto Asgroth, that's when we're going to see these big burst moments. Look at all the offensive cooldowns that are available for nLite. You have the Dark Archangel. If they coordinate their essences, they can get a lot of damage rolling onto Walrix.
All right, let's see if they can here. Dampening
there it is.
In. Big push. Not enough damage. Asgrath easily recovers. Cassidy's running away. Nixie's blade storming on the entire team. Asgrath jumps in, but then gets reversed on with the Psychic Scream. How can nLite capitalize on this? They're running out of time. They're almost totally out of mana. Kara lands the stun. They need the Freezing Trap. Where is it? They don't have it. Nixie is still low, though. Maybe they can just win with pressure. Asgrath is struggling. Then immediately swiftbends Nixie back to a safe amount, and now Zuniaki's interrupted. Kara is falling behind, and this is where the Discipline Priest is going to start to fall apart, is when members are bursted incredibly low, and being so limited on mana, it will be difficult to immediately recover. Zuniaki throws caution to the wind. He's just going to be doing damage, potentially trying to force a kill onto the team. It's do or die for nLite. The Concentrated Flames being activated by the entire team. Big push on Nixie. They need to get a die by the sword with this damage, but they do not. Asgrath connects a huge heal. Now they've left Walrix open for a long time. He has been dealing out devastation as Cassidy is forced back to the pillar. His Gladiator's Safeguard has been worked through. Mana is tied at this point, but I would say the advantage is in Diabolus' favor. They
Dark
have
Archangel.
more defensive cooldowns. They tried to burst through with the Dark Archangel, but it's not working. They're not even denting the health bars.
Yeah, this is the Rapture coming in from Zuniaki. Should be able to keep his team alive with that. They need a big offensive push. There's just been no crowd control in Asgroth. There it is, the Intimidation stun. Are we going to see a fear? Are we going to see a trap? Nixie could easily fall. Ironbark gets traded out. Walrix low. Nixie low as well. That's going to be the power word barrier, that shield on the ground. You can see Zuniaki, he's just going to be running out of it. He wants to land the fear on Asgroth, but a good denial there by Nixie, keeping Asgroth out of crowd control into a Mortal Coil. Really good plays, but Zuniaki's just chasing Asgroth. If he can land that fear, he's getting denied every step of the way. Walrix getting low. They might just be able to win with all-out damage. There's a Maim Stone on Asgroth. Walrix trades out his unending resolve in order to survive, but it's Nixie that gets swapped to. What is Asgroth going to do, Sid?
Rallying cry and die by the sword. All defense for Diabolus is down. All defense for nLite is down, and somebody's going to be dying real soon in this game, and it looks like it's going to be Nixie first. Cassidy barely holds on. nLite barely hold on in the tournament, but now lead 2-0.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely incredible. nLite coming through with a 2-0, and that was actually kind of what Diabolus wanted.
Did not lock in the Mage Lark Druid in this tournament a little bit early on. Obviously on this larger map, it would appear that they would be favored. I mean, normally in a wide open space like this, Zuniaki and the Discipline Priest, very susceptible to crowd control, but I could see a world where Cassidy and Kara, they kind of play a closest wizard strategy, which is where you go after whatever one of these casters is trying to threaten Zuniaki with crowd control. If Walrix overextends, you go after Walrix. If Alex blinks in or uses Shimmer, that's when you go after him. Full polymorph secured on Zuniaki. Premonition coming in. They're looking to get aggressive early on Walrix.
Yeah, Walrich's the target. A bit surprising. I thought we were anticipating the mage to be the primary focus. Kara is now switching to the mage. Alec, they already get the Gladiator's medallion, the temporal shield. They look like they're trying to shred through it, but it's going to be a beefy temporal shield right there, topping off Alec. Zuniaki actually being targeted down by Diabolus here. A bit of an interesting strategy. Azgrath taking advantage of that hibernate spell in Battle for Azeroth, catching Cassidy in one of those. He's going to be sitting at the full duration. Normally against the mage, the Feral Druid would be such a pest because he is immune to polymorph, but not immune to the hibernate. So if Azgrath can capitalize on that, that could be a good way to effectively crowd control the burst damage of nLite. So far, Cassidy taking a beating, deciding to jump out of that powered barrier's defense to just lead the charge onto Alec. Still looking out for those concentrated flames from the team of nLite as they are running 3 of that essence simultaneously. Looks like it works quite well for the Hunter Cleave setups. They can time them during their freezing traps, of which Azgrath is currently in one, but Cassidy is still low on health. Walrus equally so. They polymorph Kara overextended. This is going to be a difficult map for nLite, though. I would say that Diabolus have set themselves up very well here. Zuniaki will have a difficult time moving across midfield to get Psychic Screams. If anything, he may never be able to. So without that crowd control, do they have enough damage to get a kill or force cooldowns? That's going to be the question for nLite here in Game 3.
That was a really nice... I feel like Azgrath, out of all the Druids, has the best vortexes I've ever seen. He just always is on point with those, whether it's to avoid crowd control, you know, keep people locked down in place. He's just been doing a really good job. He managed to get the harpoon there from Kara in this matchup, and it's actually kind of an interesting strategy. We've seen Cassidy and Kara, they've actually been doing a little bit of a split strategy, where Kara has been going after Walrix, Cassidy, he's been sitting onto Alec. And this is a strategy that if they implement, Zuniaki should be able to heal through the damage if neither one of these casters can free cast, but perhaps the Discipline Priest will be able to heal through it with just, you know, a little bit of offensive pressure with the penances, with the smites. If he can throw those out, we'll have to see. In terms of mana, Zuniaki's actually ahead, and if they deny the drinks from Azgrath, that's a win condition for nLite.
Definitely a win condition. I'm surprised to see the amount of pressure and mana spent. Perhaps this composition isn't going to work for Diabolus overall, and they've tried 3 of them, and none of them have worked. This return of Zuniaki on Discipline, Survival Hunter of Kara, and Feral Druid of Cassidy has been devastating in the European region. And now at this point, I would say that they have a significant lead. I would say that they're looking solid to go for a rematch against Method Black, and perhaps now with Tana's new Restoration Shaman build, that Rep Paladin Warrior, perhaps they can even overthrow the current top point earners, Method Black. nLite go against the meta to try and take out European Summer Cup number 3. They've got a little bit more work ahead of them here against Diabolus. Big damage onto Kara. Zuniaki recovering. Azgrath repositioning. Kara goes in, despite being so low on health, gets the freezing trap, but Azgrath saw him harpooning across midfield and pre-Iron Bark to the incoming attack. This Iron Bark stabilizes Walrix, allows him to get aggressive. Kara gets caught in a stun. Alec has Zuniaki pinned at the pillar in a Frost Nova, potentially a polymorph shortly after, but Zuniaki can't heal Kara. He's Nova'd out of line of sight. He's trying to move in and pick him back up, but he's so low. Aspect of the Turtle on 10% and barely survives.
Yeah, they've been doing a really good job. Alec and Walrix just interrupting Zuniaki consistently. One of them is interrupting the Shadow School, one of them is interrupting the Penance, and that's just so important. If you have multiple interrupts, you're not overlapping. It's incredibly good against the Discipline Priest. They do have multiple schools of magic, and if you can shut down both of those, their healing just gets completely denied. Walrus goes for an imp play, just spells out Azgrath. Kara could be in some trouble. Might have to start playing a little bit defensive. He's forced Zuniaki to be overextended in this situation. He's in a full Cyclone, and now Kara could be in some trouble easily. He's trying to kite, he's trying to run away, but it seems like Diabolus have gotten control of this game.
All right, that pet swap from Walrix to the Imp to dispel magic crowd control effects such as the Freezing Trap. That is something that nLite need to adapt to, and one way that they can is by using Cassidy's Entangling Roots. If you use Entangling Roots and Freezing Trap at the same time, you turn that Imp's Dispel into a 50-50 as to whether or not it will dispel the Entangling Root or it'll dispel the Freezing Trap. I do want to see nLite adapt to this. If they do not, then I don't think they're going to find victory. It's too much utility for the side of Diabolus to truly exploit. There's the Freezing Trap. Where's the Dispel? Maybe they went for it. They're not finding the Dispel.
The Fell Hunter.
The Imp is not out anymore. This could be devastating. Walrus is so low on health. Iron Bark is going to be fading shortly. They interrupt Shadow Fury, but now Chaos Bolts are open. They knock the Chaos Bolt cast. They at least get the Gladiator Safeguard with that push. 2 cooldowns for 1, but Zuniaki Zuniaki is in a polymorph. Asgrath is pushing forward to look for crowd control as well. Zuniaki's going to be pinned down for what I think is going to be a lot. No, they whiff it! They whiff the bash, and Zuniaki reverses it with a double Psychic Scream that could put Walrix on the back foot, but Ursul's Vortex pulls Kara back in. Asgrath is bashed. Kara needs to land it. He snipes at the freezing trap. Walrix is all alone. Alec needs to help him, but there's just no help. It's not going to be found. Instead, was he dispelled of the freezing trap there? Big heal onto Walrix. Asgrath manages to somehow cling on to life, and now Unending Resolve is coming up in 3 seconds. This is looking better and better for Diabolus.
Icy Veins for Alec. He's looking for the polymorph. Finds it. Kara, he's left all alone. He's trying to run. He's trying to hide. I don't know if he's going to be able to escape. Zuniaki needs to get in line of sight. He's trying to get there, trying to land the heals. One Shadow Meld connects. Asgrath moves forward, gets the stun, and I think it's over for nLite. If they can hold on, it's going to be absolutely unbelievable. Big heals from Zuniaki. Alec does manage to find an interrupt. Now Zuniaki in the Cyclone. Kara just cannot get aggressive, and this is not the situation you want to find yourself in. He moves forward, though. He manages to find a trap on Asgrath, and they might be able to turn this around.
Big damage here onto Kara. Double stun combo by Asgrath. Chaos Bolt flies in. They interrupt the second one. Kara barely holds on. Cassidy catches him a quick heal as well. Good support by the entire team of nLite, but they're pinned at the pillar. Pincer maneuver. Walrix on the left, Alec on the right. There is nowhere to hide here against Diabolus on game number 3. It's do or die. They go after Alec, but he sees it coming. Denies the kill. Freezing trap secured. Who are they going to go after? Who's going to be the target? They still have 2 ice blocks to work through. They still have an Unending Resolve to work through, and they don't have a lot of mana to do all of that work with. They're going to go after Alec. They're hoping that he goes down without blocking. Multiple concentrated flames have been activated. Ironbark needs to be enough. It looks like it's going to be. Maybe not. The Gladiator Safeguard procs as well. A surprising amount of damage, but Alec holds on. 2 defensives out of the way there. Zuniaki still has a lot of cooldowns to work with, at least for his team, but not a lot of resources. Asgrath is stunned. Doesn't look like they have it. Do they get it? They snipe the freezing trap. Alec could be in trouble. Mortal Coil from Walrix. Good support with the fear on Cassidy. Now fear on Zuniaki. Zuniaki's trying to move in for the game-winning fear, but they get the block without it. If Zuniaki gets here and lands a Psychic Scream, it could be devastating, but Asgrath is repositioned. He's too far away, looking for a defensive Hibernate potentially. nLite switch their target here to Alec. They net 1 ice block, but going after the mage means they leave the Warlock Lord Walrix open. What can Walrix get done while left open is going to be the question.
Yeah, Walrix still looking for some damage onto Kara. They just can't finish off nLite. Cassidy in that situation where everything seems so desperate. Zuniaki was just getting controlled. He threw out some regrowths, and it's what kept Kara alive. Is he going to have to do that once again? He's looking for damage. Bash comes in from Asgrath, looking to control up Cassidy. They need control on Cassidy and Zuniaki if they want to have any hope of taking down Kara. Walrus could be in a little bit of trouble. They're loading him up with bleeds, loading him up with damage over time effects, and once that happens, if they can get crowd control on Asgrath, that's going to be a good situation for nLite. Dark Archangel not available for another 35 seconds. They have to hold on for another big offensive push. Icy Veins gets traded out by Alec, and every time we see the Infernals in the Icy Veins, this is when Diabolus, they start generating a lot of pressure. Powered Barrier dropped down by Zuniaki. They're going after Alec. There's a lot of damage. He still has his Cold Snap. He's not using it. Cold Snap Ice Block comes in, and things are spiraling out of control here for Diabolus. nLite's looking good. Zuniaki's mana, though, not doing so great. Alec doesn't have another ice block for 5 minutes or 4 minutes. And I think nLite is going to have a huge window of opportunity.
Do or die at some point in this match. I mean, it's still anyone's game, but someone is going to be dying real soon here in game number 3. Dampening at a high level, mana at a very low level. Cooldowns are starting to run thin for both sides. Who's going to take it? It has been back and forth. Quite a brawl between these two teams, but Walrix's adaptation to this fight to get the imp in, allowing him to dispel Freezing Trap, has allowed them to break a lot of crowd control chains. Zuniaki is trying to get aggressive to close it out, but he gets caught in midfield. He's a bit lucky that Shadow Fury whiffed from Walrix. He would be dead right now if it had landed. Zuniaki ducks around the corner. Such a difficult task for him. His team needs the extra crowd control, but he exposes himself to crowd control and huge amounts of damage every time he does it. But if he doesn't do it, it might be an inevitable defeat on mana. Zuniaki has to navigate the midfield without dying to secure crowd control for the team in these potentially final moments. They interrupt Walrix, they deny him, they're trying to stall it. When is Zuniaki going to make the push? When is he going to try and cross the desert of Tolvaron and get the game-winning crowd control? There's the stun, where's the Freezing Trap? They need to coordinate it or it's going to be dispelled. The Freezing Trap is up.
They got it.
Dispel. They get the dispel in the Entangling Root instead. They're in trouble. Walrix is trying to counter pressure, but Alex doesn't have it. Alec doesn't have anything. Temporal Shield is going for a couple of seconds. He uses the Demonic Gateway, gets right back beside Asgarath. Great positioning on Alex's part to survive that dicey situation. Cassidy's now overextended. Big burst damage onto him. Zuniaki pulls him back to safety at the pillar. Now Cassidy jumping back in, and they're trying to punish Walrus for that unending resolve earlier on. He used it desperately to counter pressure, but now does no longer have its defense. How much longer can each of these teams keep it going? It's getting desperate. It's getting dicey here. There is nothing but death on the menu, at least, for one of these teams shortly.
Yeah, look at Cassidy. He has his offensive cooldowns available. Alex still in trouble. No ice block, another 2 minutes. No temporal shield, but it's Cassidy on the back foot. Good rake stun coming in from Asgarath. Cassidy in a lot of trouble. He's forced to run. Gladiator safeguard procs. Is there crowd control in Zuniaki? Yes, they land the fear. Cassidy barely holding on. Asgarath is the one that could close out the game. He's looking to take down Cassidy as all 3 members of nLite hide and tremble behind the pillar. Infernals drop down, as well as the Frozen Orb. Walrix moves in, but he has to be careful. He cannot afford to just be in the face of nLite. They can easily take him down.
All right, let's see if they can do it. All 3 members in a ton of trouble right now for nLite. Car's polymorphed away. He can't support. He can't deal damage. Ironbark preemptively before the freezing trap. They dispel it off instantly. Cassidy is holding on by a thread. Asgarath looks like he's trying to finish Cassidy. Kara jumps over, but he's going to get Cyclone maybe. They don't land it. Zuniaki is doing God's work right now to keep his team alive at 40% dampening on that Disciplined Priest. All 3 members at half health, and they're still going. They are still trying to find victory here against Diabolus to try and battle against the Restoration Druid Menace.
Dark Archangel!
Dark Archangel, multiple concentrated flames. They've got the powered barrier to protect them for a couple of seconds, but Cassidy's just so low on health, they can't stabilize. They have to pull out, but even pulling out might not be enough. They barely cling on to life. Flurry connects. Somehow he's alive, but no, Alec snipes him out. But in the meantime, Kara could get the cross kill. The Imp was killed off. Concentrated Flame connects. Zuniaki moves in to try and support, but they get the Imp back into the fight. Asgarath, Ironbarks, Walrix looks like he's gonna stabilize here, and Diabolus pull it off, but it's on their best map.
Yeah.
If we go to a small map, I don't know if this
How does this work out on Dalaran Sewers?
Are they gonna kill him?
They might be able to. Walrix could actually still die. They're not out of it yet. Walrix is really low. I guess, yeah, Zuniaki's dead. All right, well. If Nixie can have high uptime on a Discipline Priest, it's still a Discipline Priest. Cassidy, of course, with the Thorns was making it a little bit annoying if Nixie just attacks into the Thorns, plus the added damage from Zuniaki. It really taxes the mana of Asgarath in this matchup, so he has to be careful of that. But if they can have uptime outside of Thorns, I think it'll be good.
You have to look at the advantages given to both teams on a small map. The advantage here for the side of Diabolus is that they can more easily attack Zuniaki. The advantage to nLite is that Zuniaki can more easily fear Asgarath. Then you have to take into consideration the increased threat from both of those. So Asgarath needs to spend even closer attention to Zuniaki, and then Zuniaki, of course, needs to be prepared for any swap to him. Barks is pushing up. Nixie's moving in. Diabolus are playing a lot more aggressive here in game number 4, looking like they want to take this to a game number 5 by going after Zuniaki, taking advantage of the map that was actually selected supposedly in favor of nLite. The Imp Dispel of Walrix is definitely going to be a key factor in this given matchup. Without that extra crowd control, Diabolus, he can play a lot more aggressively.
But the thing is, it also allows Zuniaki to put out a lot more damage. All of a sudden, there's no double interrupt threat. He gets interrupted on the Shadow Mend. He gets a free penance. Walrus does manage to shut that down with the Shadow Mend, and it's a little bit of a mini game. Nixie, though, in some trouble. Intimidation stun over on Asgarath. Stun onto Nixie as well. There's a nice interrupt, but the Ironbark connects with the Gladiator safeguard. That should be more than enough. And I really like what nLite's doing. I mean, both the Feral Druid as well as the Survival Hunter, they put up a lot of AoE or sort of damage over time effects. And if they can put that on Nixie and Walrix, they can sort of bounce around both targets, hit them with their burst, and it really keeps Asgarath guessing. I mean, look at Nixie. He has to trade out the Die by the Sword. Asgarath, he's got no trinket. Look at this situation. No Ironbark, no Die by the Sword. If nLite can make one big push with a trap into a fear, they can just close out the game easily.
All right, nLite are one setup away from potential victory here against Diabolus. If they can secure the perfect crowd control chain, they need to work together. They're going to need Entangling Roots and Freezing Trap simultaneously, and they're going to have to hope for some luck here. If Walrix takes the 50-50 on the Dispel on the Freezing Trap, which has now been engaged, there's the Entangling Roots. Which one will he dispel? He's not even looking to dispel either. They're sitting it. Nixie goes into battle stance, but that's because he got a double intimidating shout onto both members, Kara and Cassidy. Beautifully timed by Nixie, stalling a lot of damage. Triple Shadow Fury from Walrix, totally shutting down that assault and totally removing the out that nLite had to find victory. Great play by Nixie.
Yeah, nicely done, but there's still an opportunity here for nLite. If they get the crowd control, they can take down someone quite easily. Dark Archangel's available. They just need one good offensive push. Is Zuniaki going to be able to push forward? So far, he hasn't managed to land any fears onto Asgaroth. Kara moves forward, full stun into a trap. Who are they going to go after? Nixie caught behind the pillar. Big burst damage from nLite. Can they take him down? Ironbark looking to deflect, but a nice interrupt from Cassidy. Asgaroth looking to deny some damage with a bash stun onto Cassidy. Nixie barely holds on.
All right, Nixie barely holding on is going to be the story of this entire game number 4. Big damage, big bash, rallying cry.
It's
not
over.
Enough. nLite are making it to the grand final.
Makes it really difficult for the Jungle Cleave. It's the Demon Hunter Death Knight, the Windwalker Death Knight. Those are the compositions that theoretically have a big advantage against nLite on that Jungle Cleave. So we'll have to see if they can overcome all adversity and actually take down game number 1 against Method Black, because I feel like they have to win this game if they want to win this series.
How is Zuniaki going to be able to run the clock here with the Mana Rift strategy utilized here by Method Black with Raiku's Demon Hunter? I'm trying to look at the essences quickly for what... So Zuniaki has decided to get rid of the Concentrated Flame. He knows that his mana bar is going to be taxed heavily, and so he has gone for the Memory of Lucid Dreams and the Ever Rising Tide to hopefully allow him to regenerate enough mana for his team to find some opportunity. But the utility that this composition brings, in particular against the Disciplined Priest jungle, is, I feel like, almost bulletproof. It looks like they're desperate. They're trying to kill Chaz. Maybe they're not even desperate. This is looking good.
Yeah, we'll have to see what they can get done. Chaz does get low. They proc the Safeguard. They get Ironbark and Renewal and his Trinket. But if it's a healer race, Zuniaki is going to get out of mana quite quickly. I mean, if Raikou can consistently land those mana rifts, he will inevitably burn through the mana, and it might not even come down to that. Swapsy on the Unholy Death Knight is just a nightmare for Zuniaki to deal with. Of course, the Disciplined Priest, one of their main strengths is all those shields. But the problem is, if you're relying on shields to survive, in the meantime, Chaz actually getting low. They're going to take him down. They actually did it. I did not expect that to happen. All-out aggression from nLite. They take down game number 1, winning the blind pick. Wow.
I'm over here.
Count out Zuniaki.
He is the last one left, and he's trying to go all the way. They take game 1. They take the important blind pick victory. This means they have the swing match advantage should this series continue back and forth all the way to a game number 7. We do expect that Method Black is favored on Tolvaron Arena with their Spellcaster Cleave, the Mage and the Warlock. They definitely get to succeed in open field combat, of which Tolvaron Arena provides a lot. You can see that nLite are reluctant to engage in the fight. They want to be waiting until deeper stages of dampening. This is something that we didn't see from them against Diabolus. They were much more aggressive, and I'm curious what happens if they do decide to focus on this defensive, avoid the Warlock, and then make a push later on strategy. They see Swapsy pushing forward and decide to pounce, quite literally, onto him. Decent damage so far, but Chaz sees it coming and activates Ironbark 1 second before being stunned. Raikou is repositioned on top of Chaz to try and also soak up the freezing trap. That's good positioning on Raikou's part. That's definitely one way that Method Black can deal with the freezing trap. It's certainly a threat that they need to deal with, whether or not they are going to be switching to the Imp to dispel it, or Raikou looks to shimmer on top and eat it. Grappling hook, unfortunately, isn't going to connect from Kara into Chaz, so the freezing trap is still delayed, and there's a lot of damage.
Yeah, Zuniaki gets double interrupted, and that's going to be really important for Swapsy and Raikou. You interrupt the Shadowmen, you interrupt the Penance, there goes all the healing of the Discipline Priest, and that's when you can really start generating some momentum. Zuniaki forced to use the Leap of Faith on Cassidy, bringing him back to a safe location. You have to be careful, though. Cassidy and Kara, they've been standing in a lot of fell fissures. That's going to really limit the healing that Zuniaki can put out. Have to be out of that. Kara getting low. Big damage. Interrupt on Zuniaki once again. And Swapsy, with really good positioning, is dragging Kara out into the open. Method Black is dominating this matchup.
Yeah, this is looking like an entirely different Mage, Warlock, Druid in this particular matchup.
It is.
nLite have to run for their lives. Although I'm not so sure if it's actually for their betterment. I mean, they can just extend the game and wait for dampening. We've seen that time and time again against the Destruction Warlock. So long as Zuniaki can maintain some good mana. Raikou gets blasted. It's going to be the Gladiator Safeguard as a result of multiple concentrated flames activated simultaneously. Potentially even an Ice Block. Freezing Trap is still up. Psychic Scream secured. Raikou is holding onto an Ice Block, but there's a Raptor eating his face. He is going to have to Ice Block on very low health. nLite continue the chain through a situation. They Mass Dispel the Ice Block. They look for even more. They can get an Iron Bark on this attempt as well. That would be devastating for Method Black.
Big Chaos Bolt from Swapsy. You leave him open for too long. He's going to get the Fell Fissures. He's going to get the damage rolling. Doing a really good job. Cassidy getting caught to a bash. Chaz looking to get aggressive, but Dark Archangel, Raikou, I think he's still in hypothermia. He's in trouble. He has the Cold Snap. He has an Ice Bear, Iron Bark, Trinket and Iron Bark traded out by Chaz to keep Raikou alive. Such a scary moment. Cassidy and Kara. I mean, normally Frost Mages are such a durable class, but Kara and Cassidy putting out such massive damage, actually forcing Raikou to run and hide at multiple points in this game. And we haven't even stepped foot into dampening.
Zuniaki is running Shining Force. I think that was to counteract the Efflorescence build that we've seen Restoration Druids running throughout the tournament. But Chaz is actually not running it. So this talent, the knockback, is not going to get any value. Freezing Trap right now on Chaz. Swapsy the target here as they switch. Big damage on both teams, actually. Kara in a bit of trouble. Zuniaki manages to stabilize by pulling Kara out of the fight into the pillar so that he can line of sight safely. Mana surprisingly even here. Cassidy's trying to duck for cover. Big Chaos Bolts connect. Zuniaki's interrupted. Cassidy has to pick himself back up, but he's caught in that Fell Fissure. The green fire on the ground reduces healing by 50%. Big damage from Raikou as well here, but he's left Swapsy alone with Kara. Kara is developing momentum on that front. Double Mortal Coil from Swapsy. One gets dispelled. Zuniaki, what's he going to do? Again, he's in a situation where he faces one of the most difficult compositions of the most difficult map as a Discipline Priest. He needs to be navigating both offense and defense to avoid being swapped to, avoid being crowd controlled, but still get crowd control of his own. Freezing Trap secured. Doesn't look like Swapsy is running the Imp Dispel, so that is going to sit full duration. Raikou is trying to polymorph Kara to slow down the fight. They stun Chaz out of the Freezing Trap. Swapsy gets interrupted. He can't unending resolve for one more second. Big damage. All three members closing in. Gladiator's Maledict soaking up the health. Actually going to get taken out. It's actually insane to watch nLite closing. Anyone going to stop nLite? I think most of the teams are going to start having nightmares, and they're going to need a nightlight after this tournament. Zuniaki is doing a ton of damage. Kara and Cassidy backing him up effectively, and they're not just one-trick ponies either. They've got the Retribution Paladin. Tana has been doing a great job on the Restoration Shaman. They're basically playing every single spec that is considered not good in the current meta and winning with them. So if there was an underdog story, it would definitely be that. If they can somehow 4-0 Method Black, I'm still not a fan of the Arms Warrior Destruction Warlock. Like you were saying, I think the Windwalker Deathlane is likely the best option for Method Black. I'm wondering if Chaz switches from Druid. That's not something I thought I would say in 8.2 if someone would think about switching from Druid, but it may be the case that he needs to.
Seeing the return of the Dwarves coming in from Swapsy and Waz, both of them opting to play the Dwarven Racial. Of course, they're going to be able to use that Racial to remove all the bleed and damage over time effects that Cassidy and Kara have available, and it's really powerful against the Jungle Cleave, especially to survive. Right now, Waz moving forward, but he may have overstayed his welcome. He's taking quite a bit of burst damage. Chaz in the back line, able to quickly top him off. Zuniaki trades out the Power Word Barrier. There's a full trap. Waz could be in a little bit of trouble. They're still going after him. Actually, Cassidy, he's looking to soften up Swapsy as well, getting some damage rolling. Waz jumps back over onto Zuniaki with a nice pummel. There's really good damage here from Method Black.
All right, good pressure from Waz. That's exactly what they need. They're on a bit of a clock, which is also something I didn't think I would say. The Restoration Druid is actually the one on the clock in this particular matchup. Waz needs to create pressure on Zuniaki, and Swapsy needs to create pressure onto the other targets, Kara and Cassidy, simultaneously if they want to find victory. But of course, nLite have tools to thwart Waz's assaults. With that Thorns, it's going to be difficult for him to stay on Zuniaki. He has to come back to get healed by Chaz, but Chaz is currently crowd controlled. Swapsy is as well. Waz is all alone. Swapsy is going very far out of the match right now thanks to Zuniaki. Chaz interrupted into a stun. Perfect crowd control. Waz gets swapped to right when he wanted to go aggressive. Dark Archangel is up. This could be devastating, but Swapsy reverses with the triple Shadow Fury. Zuniaki is now low on health. He may have spent too long trying to get aggressive. He's out in midfield. That's going to be the Gladiator Safeguard. The Rapture. Big absorption effects from Zuniaki. Interrupted on his Shadow Mends. Waz generating a lot of pressure with the Avatar, but decides to give up the chase. Zuniaki, despite getting caught out in the middle, created so much pressure that Chaz is actually at half mana 2 minutes into the game.
Yeah, the damage is just insane from Kara, Cassidy, and Zuniaki. nLite really bringing it to Method Black. But Waz said good pressure. Zuniaki completely stabilizes, though. And now pressure greatly in favor of nLite. Waz leaps away. Not very heroically, but he will ultimately survive. Stun on Chaz. Is there any follow-up crowd control? Swapsy could just fall. We saw in the last game he fell, getting off his unending resolve at around 5% health. Now, psychologically, that could do something to Swapsy. He might be afraid he might end up using that cooldown a little bit too early. Doesn't want to go down by essentially wasting it like we saw in the last game. So we'll have to make sure Method Black plays it calm, cool, and collected. They don't overlap their defensives. They use them at the right time. Big Chaos Bolts on Zuniaki. He's trying to get away. Desperate Prayer, as well as the Power Word Barrier. He gets feared up on that cast. Zuniaki's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, they've denied a lot of his heals. His Desperate Prayer is going to fade shortly, and with it, the bonus health. Can Waz chop him up? Zuniaki now with Thorns, though. Waz needs to be careful. If he attacks him, he's going to take some damage in exchange as well. He can't stay on target. Switches back to Cassidy and Kara. Of course, if Waz also attacks Zuniaki while he's being hit, he can get the Sweeping Strikes, Blade Storm, and Blender down the team of nLite and turn them into a Jungle Cleave protein shake at that point. But he's not able to stay on target. Swapsy gets swapped to. He's taking a huge hit. Chaz is still crowd controlled. Unending Resolve is going to be fading here shortly. If they can get Iron Bark on this as well, they're going to be in a good position. Can Waz stay on target? Can he push forward to Zuniaki, chop him up, and find victory for Method Black? Even if he can, I feel like nLite against this Destruction Warlock Arms Warrior, they're going to go back to the Red Warrior and then crush them. I mean, nLite winning 2 in a row, and more importantly, winning the blind pick means they'll almost always have the comp advantage. Freezing Trap secured. Doesn't look like there's an imp in the arena. This could just be it. Zuniaki moves in. Gliders Maledict activated. Going to be absorbing some healing. Not going to be it. Chaz getting some pretty big heals. I did expect that to be a big push, but not nearly enough. Kara out midfield. Activated the aspect of the turtle. There's 2 Infernals that have been procced from the Vision of Perfection of Swapsy. Kara trying to respect that, but it may not have been necessary, and now he won't have that defense later on.
Yeah, Kara, he actually traded out the aspect of the turtle to avoid a fear. Then he just got feared anyways as soon as he canceled it. So maybe a bad decision there by Kara, but they wanted to play aggressive. Now it's Cassidy that's in trouble. Zuniaki has his work cut out for him. What is he going to be able to do? He gets spell locked once. Waz leaps over, looking to interrupt him again. Good pressure from Swapsy, but Swapsy's on the back foot also. Chaz's mana not doing great, and this is what we talked about. The Discipline Priest seems to actually be able to go toe-to-toe with the Restoration Druid in terms of mana. There's a pummel over on Zuniaki. Waz getting out some decent damage, but he has to be careful. He's overextended. He's caught in a bash. He trinkets out. But he's going to have to retreat, I think, at this point. Zuniaki has the Dark Archangel. If they get any crowd control, there's no Iron Bark as a response. And remember, Chaz is playing Relentless, so he doesn't have a trinket. Swapsy or Waz could easily fall in this next attempt.
All right, let's see if they can pull it off. Chaz, the crowd controlled. Swapsy's in trouble. There's no defense. He gets knocked out. That knockback talent into the root. Perfect timing. The efflorescence healing is denied. I love that strategy from nLite, realizing all these Restoration Druids are running the Spring Blossoms. They can deny that bonus healing by knocking Swapsy out of its defense. Waz as well. Great play by nLite. 6 strategies, things that other teams have just not even considered. Every other team is just like, yeah, Resto Druid, Destro Warlock, let's play it out to 80% dampening. And then nLite are like, nah, we're going fast. We're going to be pushing you over, and these strategies, these compositions are working out for them here in 8.2. And is this the first time we're going to see a Discipline Priest win one of these cups? I feel like it may be.
It is.
Zuniaki looking to try and break some records here on his return. He's beaten former teammate after former teammate. Can nLite do it? Dampening has now kicked in, and you would actually say that that's normally advantageous to Method Black's composition, but I'm not sold that it is anymore. I think it is more so towards nLite.
Yeah, nLite doing a great job. Zuniaki does get spell locked. He has the Dark Archangel. Could be available. Swapsy, of course, he has his Unending Resolve coming up shortly. That's going to be a major defensive cooldown, and I think nLite realized it. They're just going after Waz. Maim stun as Swapsy gets mind controlled. There's the full trap. Waz, it is danger time, but luckily Chaz managed to connect that Iron Bark. I said luckily, but it's definitely a very skillful play. Stun now over onto Chaz. Swapsy forced to use the Unending Resolve. Just massive damage coming in from nLite, and they still have the Dark Archangel. I think this next attempt, Swapsy is going to fall down.
Yeah, this could be a huge hit for nLite if they can hold on a little bit longer. Chaz has no defense, neither does Swapsy. If they knock Swapsy out of that efflorescence, out of that green circle, he's going to lose all of the healing. They need to do it when Chaz is crowd controlled. There's the Freezing Trap. Where's the knock? they're actually switching targets. They're going after Waz. Multiple concentrated flames, but he was ready for that attack. He uses the demonic gateway. He gets to safety. I can't help but feel that that was a mistake in terms of targeting. Now Cassidy overextended, caught in a bash. Ursul's vortex on the life grip. Perfect play by Chaz, giving an opportunity for Method Black to bounce back.
Well, Rapture up for Zuniaki right now. He should be able to keep his team alive. Cassidy kiting around the map, trying to avoid the damage of Waz. In the meantime, Kara and Swapsy having a little bit of a 1v1. Here comes Cassidy looking to back him up. He's got his offensive cooldown available. When is he going to use it? Jazz Mana not doing great, but he still has enough to hold on for a little bit longer. We're at around 17% dampening. nLite in this series currently up 2-0. No one would have expected it. Can they take down Method Black? Are they going to be able to go 3-0 in this series? Keep in mind, it's a best of 7. So this is not match point. Method Black will have another chance if they lose. Right now, they're getting aggressive on Zuniaki. He's trying to kite away and get out of line of sight, and he should be able to do so. And Cassidy and Kara are really going to punish Waz anytime they try to go after the Discipline Priest. I think that's one of the reasons why Method Black has kind of struggled to find a little bit of pressure is the babysitting of Zuniaki, but Waz is still just all over him, doing massive damage.
They're starting to get overwhelmed. Waz has more than enough defense to stay on top of Zuni, but he's actually choosing not to. I'm a bit surprised here. He doesn't want to attack into Thorns, I guess. He's going to switch targets. Chaz is in a freezing trap. This could be the big push. They need to get a kill. Zuniaki's not moving in. I'm a bit surprised.
Killing Waz.
Waz is the target. Concentrated Flame, Gladiator's Maledict. Big assault onto Waz. Does he see it? His Gladiator's Safeguard is fortunately going to proc there, absorbing the hits. Cassidy getting blasted by Swapsy. He's forced to retreat back to attack Waz, but they do want to stack them up. They actually want Waz to be the target, I think, in dampening so that he can Bladestorm on 3 targets. He can Sweeping Strikes 3 targets. Zuniaki is sitting down for a big drink. That Entangling Root on the Fell Hunter perfectly timed. Zuniaki's got way more mana. And if you give this guy mana, man, he's going to give you a lot of damage. This is going to be very scary for Method Black.
Look at Swapsy. He's in so much trouble. Zuniaki has to hold on. He's in midfield. 1 Chaos Bolt lands. Powered barrier. There's a root on Waz. He managed to get the Bladestorm on it. Zuniaki could be in a lot of trouble. He might have to trade out every single one of his defenses, but Waz can't afford to attack into Thorns. Pain suppression should be enough. He gets caught into the Mortal Coil. Gladiator Safeguard procs. He still has it. He's not using it. No pain suppression. I can't believe it. Waz is in a lot of trouble. He's trying to overextend him. Pain suppression comes in. Zuniaki's going to survive, and now it's Waz who's going to be in a lot of trouble.
I can't tell if he did that on purpose to just try and give me a panic attack or if he's trying to bait Waz further in. Waz doesn't have anything. Chaz is in a freezing trap. Waz is trying to go for the kill, but he doesn't have anything to stay alive. Is he going to be able to find the kill before Kara takes him out? He's chopping up Zuni. Zuni's trying to get away. Waz gets stunned. He gets 1 Shadow Mend. Somehow Zuniaki is staying alive. If they take away the big maps from Method Black can't rely on these Warlock compositions anymore. Kara now getting swapped to. Waz doesn't get the kill. Zuniaki holds on to dear life. Ironbark's up in 1 second, but Chaz is stunned. He can't do it. Kara gets Mortal Coiled. Can he get the freezing trap? He needs it. He grapples over. He snags it. No Ironbark. Waz leaps away. They have to attack Swapsy. He's going to Unending Resolve and try and kill them in a reversal. Not finding too much damage. Cassidy saw it coming, used Survival Instincts, and then reduced all of the damage as a result. Waz is now so low on health. Chaz has absolutely no mana. Zuniaki is moving in. Concentrated Flame Penance. Big damage. Waz is on the run, but I don't think there's anywhere for him to go. All 3 members of nLite closing in. He's going to just charge onto Zuniaki in reckless abandon to try and get a kill before his team ultimately falls. Pressure on both sides.
There's the trap.
Swapsy carry it back? I don't think so. He gets stunned up.
So much trouble.
So critically low on health. Barrier of Zuniaki buying his team time. I don't think Method Black have that luxury.
Yeah, Swapsy's in a lot of trouble. Chaz has literally no mana left to work with. Zuniaki off the back of that drink could keep his team alive, but they're trying to take down Cassidy. Cassidy could be in some trouble. He's forced to run away. Waz putting out massive damage. Kara looking to solo down Swapsy at this point in the game. Cassidy just has to hold on a little longer. Chaz managed to recover some mana. I don't know how, but Swapsy, I think it's just too much damage. nLite up 3-0 in the grand finals.
To resort back to their main composition, it is going to be that Rogue, that Frost Mage, and the Restoration Druid. They need 4 games in a row if they are to defeat Zuniaki and nLite.
Zuniaki out for revenge against his former teammates Raikou and Waz, suddenly turning the table in his own favor with this Discipline Priest. The oddball compositions, the Misfits, they're looking to 4-0 the current top point earners of Europe. Big assault towards Raikou early on, but he sees it coming. Temporal Shield soaks it up, and now Method Black, they're going after Zuniaki. They're going after the healer, but this type of healer is actually one of the most difficult to kill as a rogue mage, and I'm not sure that this gamble is worth it for Method Black. This is a risky choice to be going after Zuniaki on match point.
Yeah, but it is a strategy we see from Rogue Mage Druid. You control the DPS. You can see Cassidy got hibernated into a polymorph. In the meantime, Zuniaki can't help. He manages to land the double fear onto Raikou, onto Waz. Chaz avoiding crowd control, and they need to get some damage rolling. I think they should go after Waz in this situation. If Kara can stand on top of Zuniaki, and he can manage to find the mending bandage consistently on those kidney shots, then he can ultimately help Zuniaki with enough damage reduction that he could survive. But Zuniaki could just fall in the opener. He still has pain suppression. He's got the Desperate Prayer. He's looking for Shadowman. He gets kicked at the last second. Desperate Prayer comes in. He's got the Power Word Barrier and pain suppression. He gets cycloned on it. Good control here from Method Black. Things are looking good.
Beautiful start from Method Black. Vendetta is still available for Waz. He can just close this out. They've been nailing these interrupts. So finally, crowd control secured for nLite. They switch to Waz, trying to get him off Zuniaki. It's all about protect the priest in this given matchup. Carr with the mending bandage as well is a great way to remove the damage over time effects from the assassination rogue. Carr and Cassie definitely need to support, but the crowd control that Chaz and Raikou are utilizing on Cassie with Polymorph and Hibernate is making it difficult for nLite to generate pressure. Finally, some damage here onto Waz. They do manage to pull off the Iron Bark. Zuniaki wrapping around the corner, trying to pull Waz away from Chaz so that he has to move into range of maybe a Psychic Scream or some incoming stunts. Zuniaki's positioning is good, but I'm not sure if it will be enough. The damage output right now from Method Black looks solid. Big Flurry Comet Storm combo. Zuniaki barely holds on.
And barely holds on. He's still got the Power Word Barrier, playing it a little bit greedy, but ultimately does survive. Kara had a beautiful mending bandage on that last kidney shot. Full blind now secured onto Cassidy. Waz looking to get really aggressive. Does he have the follow-up sap? Unfortunately not, but Raikou lands the polymorph as his Feral Druid. That's got to be a sad story. There's a kidney shot on Zuniaki still. He's trying to survive. He's tanking through a lot of this incoming damage. He's kind of stabilized. One interrupt lands on the Shadowman. Is there a counterspell? Yes. Now Zuniaki's double interrupted. Shadowman spam coming in. I think he's going to be able to keep himself alive. And I don't know how much longer Waz can keep up this chase. So far, Method Black, they've been dealing with the pressure quite well. And Zuniaki, his mana is doing really poorly.
I don't know how much longer nLite can keep this up. They need the freezing trap now. Can Kara get it? Raikou sitting on top of Chaz to make it difficult to land. He doesn't want to risk missing it, but he needs to go for it. He manages to sneak in right as Raikou moved away. Waz could be in trouble. He's overextended. He knows that. He's going to evasion, but maybe that's not even enough. The double interrupts, though, they're racing for the kill. Kara defends it. Zuniaki gets Stampeding Roared. I almost like to see them use the Stampeding Roar, maybe even the Master's Call to get Zuniaki at Chaz for a Psychic Scream. It feels like they need a little bit more crowd control if they want to kill Waz. They're not really able to enable Zuniaki. Chaz stunned. They need more crowd control. They don't have it. Iron Bar connects. Is it going to be enough? No. Glare Safeguard is procced as well. Multiple defensives forced from Method Black. They are still on match point in this best of 7 grand finals. nLite looking like it's possible to pull it off here in the Restoration Druid meta. Zuniaki looks to battle against it. Manages to break out of the polymorph. Zuniaki's marching towards Chaz ever so slowly, but if he gets there for a Psychic Scream, this could be a KO for Waz. What is that Cyclone? That is a big mistake by Chaz. Now if they got the Master's Call, Zuniaki, he's marching. He moves slowly, but he's eventually going to get there for the Psychic Scream. Interrupted on the Shadowman. Moving forward with Rapture. He needs to get the Psychic Scream. Kara gets polymorphed on his disengage.
Good job by Raikou.
He can't get there for the Freezing Trap. Chaz repositions. They know that this next Freezing Trap, if they get Psychic Scream, it's over. They lose. They cannot get Psychic Screamed. Zuniaki knows that too. He's trying to march over. Kara jumps over, interrupts Chaz. They need to land the Freezing Trap, but Kara gets stunned. Zuniaki is stunned. He can't get anything either. Cyclone attempt, not able to find it. Kara goes for what could be the game-winning Freezing Trap. If Zuniaki can get there, it's going to be over, but he doesn't want to. It looks like he's a bit worried about going out in midfield. He doesn't want to get killed while going for crowd control. The Master's Call, a bit uncoordinated. Cassie jumps over for a potential interrupt, but Zuniaki is fallen too far behind.
Pain suppression.
Why is he not pain suppression?
Safeguard?
I guess he's going to rely on the Gladiator Safeguard. He's almost completely out of mana. They're still in a game-winning situation if they can get that Psychic Scream. It's just all about getting Zuniaki to Chaz.
They just need a trap at this point. Trap and
just
a stun
trap?
I mean, maybe. Waz could be in trouble. We've seen the amount of damage that Jungle has put out in the past. Waz is on the run. He gets the kidney shot, but he's still in trouble. Cassidy looking to close out the game. Kara moving in as well. Zuniaki, what is he going to do? He has the pain suppression, uses it at such low health with the mending bandage. He gets interrupted. Zuniaki has to survive. There's the penance. He's still in it.
Waz?
If he lands a Shadowman, Waz could easily fall also. This is a back and forth game. Zuniaki barely holding on. He lands the fear, but is Waz Waz gonna fall? That's the question.
Where's the trap? Kara has to get the trap out of the Psychic Scream. They get the stun. They get the trap. Waz is in trouble. Raikou knows that. He's trying to protect him. He polymorphs Kara, but Kara jumps out of line of sight. Waz is trying to go for the kill, but Chaz is still crowd controlled. This is a bit of a risk to take. Kara's mending bandages on point, really making it difficult for Waz to generate pressure. Frozen Orb going to be fading here shortly. Dark Archangel available. They've got one more push left, I think, and nLite have one more big opportunity to kill Waz and close it out, but right now Zuniaki's in a chokehold. He's totally out of mana. They're just tunneling him down. Barrier is going to buy a couple of seconds, but maybe not even. I don't think it's going to. Big Frostbolt from Raikou. Where's the flurry? They need a flurry proc. There it is. Zuniaki, how are you still alive? Ray of Frost onto Zuniaki. He's penetrating Waz. He's doing whatever he can to try and counter pressure, but now Vendetta available in
nice
2.
Fear.
They defensively Psychic Scream, but even that is now subsided. Vendetta available. I mean, Waz should just press it at this point. Just close it out. He is going to, and I think this is it. I don't think Zuniaki has anything left. They can't deal with the damage. Frozen Orb is out as well. Method Black are going to be taking game number 4. Zuniaki in Defiance, but ultimately...
Just prepare. He's got it.
No way, right?
He might be able to survive. I mean, I want to say there's no way, but it's Zuniaki, and he can do whatever. He's managed to survive. The Gladiator Safeguard does proc, and I like that they're going after Raikou. Going after Waz didn't seem to do enough. I think controlling Raikou a little bit more in this matchup, but I think it might be too little too late. But nLite, I think they've realized what they need to. They could, end up losing this game, but in the next game,
How?
I think it's going to be going after Raikou.
How is he still alive?
I don't know. Like I said, Zuniaki, Garrote Silence comes in, cheap shot on Cassidy. Waz cannot believe it. Rapture comes in. He's actually going to survive. Rapture is going to be enough for him to survive. He gets kidney shot on the Rapture. This is unbelievable right now. What is happening? He's been trained down. He's been out of mana. His Essence is doing work, but the double interrupt, all the Frozen Orb damage, Comet Storm, Ray of Frost, and that's it. Zuniaki, good night. Well played by Method Black.
Screams, and there's absolutely no way that Waz survives. In that last game, it felt like they were focused almost entirely on defense, but I think they can mix in a little bit of offense with some team coordination, and if they do so, Dalaran Sewers is a great map. It's very close quarters. Zuniaki will have a lot more opportunities to get that crowd control. Although it looks like instead they're going to use a Psychic Scream on the Rogue and a Freezing Trap on the Druid to remove the Rogue threat, enable Zuniaki to get some damage out and go after Raikou. During this first crowd control attempt, though, Cyclone was 1 second too late on Raikou's Temporal Shield. That would have denied its heal. That could have been big. nLite mixing it up. Was Cassidy not running Cyclone the last time that they played? I feel like I didn't see a single one from him.
Yeah, they might not have been.
This time around, it looks like he is, so that could be a key factor to nLite's victory here on game number 5.
Yeah, big damage on Raikou. He gets cycloned up, and this is exactly what we want to see. Cyclone the Temporal Shield, cyclone up that Iron Bark, and Raikou now, he has to play a lot more defensive, and that's what you would normally expect in this matchup. Raikou getting tunneled down, Waz trying to create pressure, but if Zuniaki and Waz are having this little 1v1, Zuniaki can land full fears onto Waz, and he can keep himself alive. Now, Raikou moving forward, he's trying to get some extra damage on Zuniaki, but that leaves him susceptible to the Discipline Priest damage. Waz throws in a defensive blind over onto Cassidy, of course. His strategy is just sit on Zuniaki. Look at this full fear. This is when they can get aggressive. Dark Archangel with a stun onto Chaz. This should be the first ice block from Raikou if they can find the damage, but Raikou manages to blink away. He's holding on, and I think going for Cyclone was a really intelligent decision by Cassidy. All of a sudden, he can soak up some of those interrupts. Raikou's going to have to interrupt Cyclone instead of Shadow Mend from Zuniaki. Allows him to heal himself up a little bit more. And of course, we saw what a nightmare it was for Zuniaki to actually land fears on Chaz. So now they have that extra diminishing return with Cyclone in this match, and that's the extra crowd control they need to maybe take Raikou down.
All right, let's see if nLite can do it. Waz taking some hits here at the boxes, but Chaz looks like he's ready to recover immediately afterwards. Waz having a difficult time staying on target with these boxes. The line of sight is quite a big blocker on Dalaran Sewers. Chaz looking for crowd control. Cassidy's locked down. It's 3 versus 1 on Zuniaki. Cassidy cycloned again. The crowd control of Method Black onto both Kara and Cassidy is devastating. It's stalling all of the momentum that they've had throughout the entire tournament. Chaz is stunned. Cassidy jumps over, but Doesn't go for the freezing trap. He jumps in, interrupts Raikou. Needs to land the freezing trap. Gets it. Raikou's in trouble. No temporal shield for 2 more seconds. This is the time that they need to get an ice block. Can they get it? Cassidy gets stunned away. Concentrated flames are flying in from ranged. They don't get it. They get the ice barrier and the iron bark, but they really needed an ice block from that attempt.
Getting the ice barrier is not a big victory, but they did manage to pull out the iron bark. That is important. Raikou getting a little bit low, but we've seen Raikou in this tournament so far play a little bit greedy. We have to make sure that he's not, eating a big bite or big damage coming in from Kara. Temporal Shield gets traded out by Raikou. There's a bash on Chaz. Can he survive? Temporal Shield heals him up. There's a fear on Waz, and I think this is one of the big adaptations we're seeing is crowd control on Chaz. At the same time, Zuniaki lands a fear. That gives him just a moment to breathe and top himself off, and Raikou hasn't been able to basically do any damage to Zuniaki in this game. He's just been completely on the defensive. Zuniaki now going for a drink. Raikou blinks in, but that could end up costing him an ice block.
Yeah, definitely could. Mana is even. That's surprising, and I would say that it's not good for Method Black. I would feel that they need a lead in that regard. Can they pull it off? Zuniaki's got Dark Archangel rolling. That's going to increase the damage of his entire team by quite a bit, but Raikou's avoiding them, kiting back to the side, dropping a Frozen Orb, looking to kill Zuniaki here. How will they respond? Pain Suppression's available, surprisingly not pressed by Zuniaki, instead relying on potentially that Gladiator Safeguard Absorb later on to heal him up. Raikou's clone, Chaz is in the trap. Who are they going after? It looks like Raikou still. Zuniaki not able to find any Psychic Screams. The crowd control on Chaz is still devastating. They get the Glider Safeguard again from Raikou, but that Temporal Shield should be more than enough to recover. Waz's pressure is surprisingly high on Zuniaki. I feel like he's been soloing him for most of the fight. Raikou is having a hard time getting over there. Cassidy going to disengage away from the crowd control and also support Zuniaki with a Mending Bandage and try to pressure Waz away. So, nLite, they're changing their target. They're going after the Rogue a bit more now, although potentially they should be going after the Rogue and the Mage. Maybe they just win the race. I mean, they killed Chaz in the first game so quickly, and it looks like that's what they want to do. Maybe this is the one thing they haven't experimented with, is actually just attacking Chaz. They already get Barkskin immediately.
Yeah, it's a good job by them. They managed to get the Barkskin. He still has a trinket available. Zuniaki, I think he should be able to hold on. And this could just be one of those strategies from Method Black where they literally just want to get Zuniaki out of mana. He was able to hold on for quite some time in the last game. He still has a lot of defensive cooldowns. He can rotate through. But as soon as I say that, the double interrupt comes in. Massive burst damage from Raikou and Waz.
The nLite still on match point.
Thing is, nLite have crowd control too. They could be using on Waz and Raikou. I feel like this is the one strategy that we haven't seen, and I would like... Oh no, Waz got found! That is not good for Method Black, and like it, big crowd control early on. How is Waz going to deal with this? How is he going to deal with
No
it?
mistakes.
He's so far behind. Gladiator Safeguard, Chaz's Gladiator's Medallion, Iron Bark, 3 major cooldowns out of the way already instantaneously. Zuniaki once again the target for Method Black. Why change something that's not broken at this point? Zuniaki, Ursul's Vortex trying to get a line of sight, but Ray of Frost is channeling through the line of sight. Zuniaki catches a Shadow Mend. Efflorescence placed down by Chaz. Interesting there. Chaz now bashed. Where's the Freezing Trap? Cars polymorphed. He can't get it. Did Cassidy change his build? I'm trying to double check. Maybe he dropped the Cyclone. I'm wondering what he would actually drop it for. It looks like he has dropped the Cyclone. Instead, opting for the Thorns, opting for the Fervor, and the Ferocious Bite. The Ferocious Bite makes the most sense, but the Fur doesn't make the most sense. My Inspect tool not letting me look closely enough. Zuniaki, very low on health, but with Rapture activated, should be able to deny this kill. nLite have a clear win condition right now with no Gladiator's Medallion on Chaz, and I think that is to kill Waz.
Ooh, he didn't get the fear. Great job there by Method Black, denying Zuniaki the kidney shot coming in from Waz in the nick of time, but Chaz gets interrupted. Waz could be in a little bit of trouble. He did manage to connect the Iron Bark before going for that casted heal. High-level plays, obviously coming in from Chaz. Cyclone now on Cassidy. Zuniaki still just rotting down lower and lower. He still has a lot of mana. I mean, in this matchup so far, we've seen him dip down low, but he always manages to rotate a defensive cooldown and survive. But now, in a kidney shot, a lot of pressure here coming in from Method Black. What is Zuniaki going to be able to do? He's holding on to the Desperate Prayer. He's holding on to the Pain Suppression. He gets interrupted. He gets double interrupted. This is what we saw in the last game. A lot of greed from Zuniaki, but Shadow Men spam going to be enough. He tops himself off. Nicely done by Zuniaki.
So Zuniaki has made a change in his build. He's running Memory of Lucid Dreams. He's running the Ever-Rising Tide. So he's going for a late-game win on mana in this round, no longer running the Crucible of Flame for offense. This is interesting to see the Discipline Priest actually trying to out-attrition the Restoration Druid, how the tables have turned here, but it's still quite difficult to heal through, even though he will have more mana. If his health reaches 0, it's over anyway. Struggling to stay alive. Rapture activated, big power word shields incoming. Kara trying to secure crowd control, activating the coordinated assaults, but there's no freezing trap. They've got bigger damage, but they need crowd control. Cassidy tries to carry with a Skull Bash. I don't know if it's going to be enough. Waz gets stunned up. They do at least get his Gladiator Safeguard Absorb out of the way. Freezing trap sniped by Kara. That's a Gladiator's Medallion. That's an evasion. That's a big mistake, but they're going all in for the kill. They need to take Zuniaki out in this moment in time. Otherwise, they've thrown 2 of their biggest cooldowns out the window.
You have Zuniaki still in so much trouble at this point in the game. Full kidney shot does land. Does Raikou have any additional damage? Icy Veins coming up shortly. I can't help but feel like Zuniaki is going to be in a world of pain. He does have decent mana at this point in the game. He tops himself off, but every single kidney shot is devastating in coming from Waz. And Waz has had really good positioning. He's not overextending, not allowing Chaz to heal him. He goes in at the perfect moment, then he comes out, trying to avoid as much damage as possible. Now, Zuniaki, he's softened up. Are they going to be able to find the kidney shot? They managed to find the interrupt. Zuniaki drops the power word barrier. He realizes there's a lot of damage potential here, and he manages to get the barrier on the kidney shot. Very nicely done by Zuniaki. He has the Dark Archangel. There's a full stun over on the Chaz. Is there any follow-up crowd control? Unfortunately, Kara not able to get there. Zuniaki gets interrupted. He's still in a lot of trouble, Sid.
All right, Zuniaki, how are you going to make it out of this alive? Even with the Ever-Rising Tide, his mana is lower. That's not looking too good for nLite. They're looking to try and drag this fight on as long as they could, but I'm not sure how long they ultimately can. We have not even gotten to dampening. 1 minute still away. Zuniaki stunned up, but Chaz is in a trap. Waz pre-feints this attack, but he's forced to run away. Zuniaki's moving in for the Psychic Scream. If they get this, this could be it. Waz is in trouble. They're on match points. They need just a little bit more damage to take him down, but he's still holding on. This is a surprising amount of healing, keeping Waz alive at this moment in time. He's desperate, though. He blinds Cassidy. It's not really desperate. It's also crowd controlling him for the kill on Zuniaki. Big Shadowman's come in, but at the cost of a lot of mana, and even still not really recovering. Interrupted now. Penance follows up. Ray of Frost not going to be doing enough damage to break through that power word shield in Desperate Prayer. Zuniaki holds on once again, but that mana is not looking too good. Chaz pre-Iron Barks this setup, exactly what he needed to do before his Gladiator's Medallion comes off cooldown, and I would say that Method Black have a lead outside of some surprising amount of damage. I think that we're going to game 7.
Could be. Chaz gets interrupted. Zuniaki, how's he going to hold on? He gets interrupted. He needs to find a Shadow Mend. Cassidy has to help him out. He's got the power word barrier. Is he going to drop it? Is he going to greet it? Mending Bandage comes in. Waz gets caught into a stun, and Zuniaki's going to top himself off. Big heals coming in from Zuniaki. His mana's not bad, and now Waz could be in some trouble. He's trying to reconnect. Double Fear comes in from Zuniaki. Thorns. Waz has to think twice. He's used his evasion. He's used his Cloak of Shadows, and I think this could be it. nLite maybe looking to close out this cup and take down Method Black. Waz with beautiful defensive plays. The Iron Bar comes in from Chaz. That costs Method Black everything, but they stay in it.
They stay alive, but the next freezing trap could end it. If Cassidy Kara can coordinate together, Waz is in a whole lot of trouble, but Zuniaki now equally so stunned up. Kara supports him with the Mending Bandage. Cassidy is moving in for the kill. Kara needs the freezing trap, but Raiku's sitting on top of him. Kara doesn't want to risk missing the freezing trap, so he's holding on to it until Chaz and Raikou move apart from each other. Kara cannot afford to miss it. He needs to land it. Raikou blinks away. Kara sees the opportunity. He jumps on Chaz. He lands the freezing trap. They have to kill Waz in this moment in time. They have to kill Waz in this moment in time. Concentrated flames flying in, but it doesn't look like enough. They bash him. They need a little bit more damage. Somehow Waz is staying alive and staying aggressive on Zuniaki. Finally now forced away, at least for a moment. Chaz is out of crowd control. Ironbark stabilizes. For now, it's going to be fading pretty shortly.
What in the world is going on? Waz just constantly dancing with death in this game. Chaz gets interrupted. Waz still in a little bit of trouble, but he has the Vanish. At any moment, he could use the Vanish to cheap shot Kara, cheap shot Cassidy, and keep himself alive. He's going for the aggressive play. What is he going to do? It's a risk at this point. Does he commit the Vanish? Does he wait? He gets caught into the maim. Trap is rolling on Chaz. Waz is low. Zuniaki with the Garrote Silence. Waz trying to keep himself alive. He's in so much trouble. He gets stunned. Blind comes in from Waz once again, defying death with these defensive plays, and now getting aggressive on Zuniaki.
Shadow stepping in. in style to interrupt Zuniaki into a full stun. Great combo of crowd control. Zuniaki's in a lot of trouble as a result. If Raikou snipes in a counterspell, no counterspell available for 2. Shadowman's come in clutch. Ironbark preemptively on the stun. Waz has a choice to make. Does he keep playing aggressive or does he try to run away? It looks like he wants to play aggressive, but Chaz is interrupted. He can't heal. Waz has to evasion, but he's still so low. Penance comes in. Maybe Zuniaki closes out. He's got absolutely no mana left in a full kidney shot. His Hunter and a Polymorph not able to support, but he gets the barrier down. He's got Rapture. Power Word Shield's coming in. The ever-rising Tide Azurite, or Essence, is definitely paying Zuniaki a lot of favors right now at a higher chance to restore mana. It's keeping him going. Just a little bit of juice left in the battery to keep him going to try and close the series out.
Oh, this could be it.
Crowd-controlled. Waz pre-feints. Now looks to close himself. Both teams in a lot of trouble. Could be a cross-kill. Zuniaki, I have no idea how he's alive right now. Penance comes in. He's got Thorns. Waz can't afford to keep attacking him. He's going to recover. Waz has to run away. He has to respect the Thorns damage. Zuniaki stays alive, but so does Waz, and somehow this game is still going on.
Yeah, but Waz in a lot of trouble. There's a stun on Chaz. Waz has to try to keep up the pressure on Zuniaki. If he can't stay on Zuniaki, all his pressure will be lost. He's just so low. The next trap easily closes out the game. Look at Waz. He's only got his Vanish up coming up in 23 seconds. He goes for the kidney shot. Maim stun over onto Waz. Interrupt onto Chaz. Kara has to get there. He needs the Intimidation stun. He needs the freezing trap. He manages to find it. Zuniaki gets interrupted. Can he hold on? Stun coming in from Cassidy. They want to take down Waz. They want to take down Method Black, but Waz just won't die. He drops the smoke bomb. He might be able to survive, but it's too much damage. nLite does the impossible. They battle it back. Zuniaki is MVP in this series, in this tournament, doing such an incredible job, and nLite, hats off to them.
Whether it's honestly think that's the best grand final we've seen this entire season, certainly in Europe, absolutely insane. nLite, 4-2 victory over Method Black. Their points earned is 120. They had 32 coming into this.